What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 4S Chapter 71 War, Public Execution, Death of a Coward. Fire Punch. The escaping ace noticed the black blade rushing towards them. He had no choice but to keep Luffy behind him. Ace. Run, Luffy. I can't hold on anymore. The flaming fist was torn apart by the huge sword energy and stretched towards the two of them like devil's claws. Don't forget there's me. Hey, Marco. Two flames of different colors stood in front of Luffy to resist Tyr's sword blade. We, the Whitebeard pirates, came to Marinefondo just to save you, Ace. Cough. Looking at the two people who were trying their best to resist Tyr's attack, Luffy felt that he was useless at the moment. The world is far bigger than he imagined. Luffy also looked at Tyr on the ice in the distance during this massacre. As long as we defeat him, these black sword blades in the sky will disappear, right? Putting his fist into the ice, Luffy's eyes were firmly fixed on Tyr. What are you going to do, Luffy? Enter Gear 2. Don't go there, Luffy, you can't be his opponent. Boom, boom, boom. The rain of swords in the sky is like Shinigami's giant scythe harvesting life. With tens of thousands of pirates engulfed in it, there is almost no room for resistance by the weak. Look at you, who has been on the run from the beginning of the war to now. Why are you still standing in front of me with tears on your face and the heart of a holy mother? Kirby's face was covered with tears, and he felt cold-blooded about Tyr's bloody massacre. Very cold-blooded, hardly human. Compared to Kebby, Tyr's face was covered with his own blood, and there was no intact part of his body. From the beginning of the battle, he was different from Kirby. A soldier who has been thinking about escaping and is afraid of death. What a ridiculous joke is this to stop a lieutenant general who almost died in a bloody battle. We have lost the execution target. The soldiers who were seriously injured and fell to the ground can still be rescued. If we give up the pursuit, many soldiers can be rescued. With the advantage of the war, Kebby's behavior in Tyr's eyes was more than just a three-dimensional explosion. Should we stop the war if we lose the goal? Advertisement? This war is the Whitebeard pirates' declaration of war against the Marine headquarters. How could they be allowed to leave so easily? As a Marine, I worship a pirate. I can only run away or hide on the battlefield. Tyr grabbed Kirby's collar. Where do you get the power to stop me from destroying the pirates? Death and sacrifice are inevitable, although Kebby's words are well-intentioned. However, there is a fatal threat to the army in the war. What to do if military morale is broken? Kebby, who was crying bitterly, regretted stopping Tyr at this moment, and never thought that Tyr would kill him. Tyr, who was holding up Kebby, could feel the fear all over this man's body from his skin. In addition to trembling, I was afraid. Put down Kirby. After Garp sensed Tyr's murderous intention, he clenched his fists and walked towards Tyr. He is just a brat who doesn't understand war. Give him a chance, Tyr. The guy who recruits without any merit on the battlefield and talks nonsense to get the soldiers to stop chasing pirates can already be publicly executed. Execute him to prevent him from shaking the morale of the army. This is a battlefield, and we don't need soldiers with erroneous views. We will never tolerate this cowardly act. Tyr ignored Garp's warning and placed the black knife under his jaw. Aiming directly at Kirby's brain, he performed a public execution in front of everyone. Stop. What kind of people will teach what kind of disciples? Go tell Shinigami about your holy mother's words. Garp, who rushed towards Tyr, was attacked by flying swords like meteors, causing his speed to approach Tyr to be greatly slowed down. No, I don't want to die yet. I am the man who wants to become a Marine general. Kirby, if he becomes a general, will he make Marine even more corrupt? Phew. The tip of the black knife pierced his throat, penetrated directly through the tinling guy, and was thrown into the ice by Tyr. The sword god's hand of Tyr's right arm bloomed with terrifying Conqueror's domineering force, and he quickly turned to face Garp and slashed out with his sword. Go away. Garp, you no longer deserve to be called Marine, Tyr said with almost all his strength. Boom. In the center of the battlefield, two of the world's top domineering forces collided. Teal. He is my disciple. I am also the Marine future you said personally. Tyr's veins on his forehead exploded, glaring at him as if he was going to explode. The murderous eyes never gave Garp any face or respect. Cough. The moment Garp was in a trance, the terrifying blue slashing force instantly engulfed him. Garp was slashed into the air by Tyr, and flew towards Oris Square at high speed, creating a deep crater of figures. Advertisement. He covered his forehead and felt extremely uncomfortable. Damn it, what should I do to have the best of both worlds? He wants to protect Luffy and Ace, and he also wants to protect his disciple Kebby. However, all actions were suppressed by the titles of Justice and Hero behind him. Looking at the dark sword energy in the sky, the sword stood up again. You two bastards. Luffy. Ace. What on earth do you want me to do? Marco and Ace tried their best to resist Tyr's domineering blade. It's hard to believe that a person can use the devil fruit power to such a level. Sword Sea Torrent. As Tail walked toward them, he launched a more powerful move against the two of them. Boom. In an instant, the Phoenix Fruit's defense line and Logia's flames burning the fruit were instantly destroyed by the sword energy. Whoa! The two of them were swallowed up by the sea of swords, and their bodies suffered heavy injuries instantly. Didn't you learn a lesson from that naval battle 4 years ago, Akainu? Shut up. You're just a pirate. A terrifying red griffin slash sent Akainu flying not far from Tyr. In the sky above the retreating red-haired pirates, Kizaru turned into a four-cornered flash of light. I won't allow the pirates to escape like this. The shining fruit suddenly charged up and fired at the red-haired pirates, 8-foot Magatama. Bang! The ice beneath the red hair was crushed by him. He rushed into the sky and slashed with his sword, knocking Kizaru from the air to the ground. Kizaru, who fell into the ice, instantly condensed a flash weapon and held it in his hand. Tien Kong Yun sword. Slash the red-haired one with a sword. The heat wave swept across the ice, and the super-speed sword fighting was dazzling. General Akainu. Tail walked towards Luffy. Teal, your strength has increased a lot, Akainu said to Tyr. She looked at him and looked at the amount of bleeding and injuries on his body. Is your body okay? Don't force yourself. You can leave it to me to handle the rest? Mr. General Akainu, please go and intercept the troublesome red-haired guy. Tyr kept staring at Luffy and the others. I'll execute Portgas D. Ace and the Straw Hat Boy. At this moment, Luffy was holding the injured Ace. It was unbelievable that someone could not touch them, but Ace was seriously injured. Ace. Whitebeard activated the Shocking Buddha's palm, which had the power to shock the fruit of the Warring States period. He took the form of the Sengoku Buddha that injured the Buddha with one blow, and rushed towards Ace's place. Ahem. B********************************* D. Whitebeard. Warring States touched the two wounds on his stomach. The form of the Buddha slowly changed into its normal appearance, and his body was covered with scars under the force of the shock. Come on, come on, come on. Marco looked at the battlefield. His friends and the 40 pirate fleets were almost all stuck on the ice by Tyr's flying sword. Tyr approached them with a shuddering murderous aura. Stop screaming. Most of them are dead. Chapter 72. War on top, 4 emperors alone. The Whitebeard pirates are destroyed. The flying sword behind him was like the end of the world to the pirates, massacring the pirates of the Whitebeard pirates. Kirby. You fool. Bluemaber cried while holding Kirby's body. Soldiers cannot shake their morale on the battlefield. Have you forgotten the lessons in class? Being a deserter and not killing a single enemy, is it worthy of those comrades who shed their lives and blood on the battlefield? And he also went to challenge the current Lieutenant General Tyr, and the General Majesty who rushed to the front to fight the pirates to the death. This was enough to make him die countless times. Forget about being a deserter, he still came out to shake the morale of the entire military on the battlefield. Taylor really couldn't stand the existence of such a person in the Marine lineup. Otherwise, if he really relies on Garp's reputation to get into the officer class in the future, it will be a big disaster in the Marines. Among the generals who fought fiercely against the pirates, no one sympathized with Kebi, but instead the morale of the other soldiers soared. This kind of soldier who affects the morale of the army not only has wrong views, but also makes everyone in the Marine camp furious with his words. It was Marine's shame that Ace was rescued, but he actually stood up publicly to stop the pursuit. The live phone bug wakes up. Hurry up and let the world see what happens when you enter our Marine headquarters. 4 emperors are nothing. We have General Marine and Sword God Tyr. The cheering morale was driven by Tell and Sakaski who were rushing forward. Aokiji, who was out of the battle, looked at Tyr with shock on his face and said softly, "Sure enough. Complete justice will turn people into killing machines." But there was nothing wrong with what he did. Did he become so extreme after being beaten by Lieutenant General Garp who was trying to protect his family? The black knife in Tyr's right hand was aimed at Ace. Rubber. Luffy transformed into Gear 2 and moved to the left of Tail at high speed, jet bullet. Tail's left hand wrapped with domineering energy and instantly predicted the trajectory of his attack. He pinched his smoking rubber fist and slammed Luffy into the ice like a rubber band. Ah! Those who don't know what pirates are, don't spread the will of pirates in this sea. Luffy, who fell into the ice, jumped up like a carp and looked at Tail with an angry look on his face. Ace is my brother. UF asterisk 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 GB asterisk 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 D. Tyr looked at the angry expression on Luffy's face and seemed to find it a bit ridiculous. In order to save Ace, he did not hesitate to cause chaos in Impel Down City, causing hundreds of extremely cruel pirates to return to the sea. Now she actually has the nerve to stand in front of him and say these ridiculous and incorrect views. Rubber jet machine gun. Tyr's face was expressionless, standing motionless and facing him sideways. Luffy's fist swung out in Gear 2, and when it came into contact with Tyr's body, he was cut by the sword energy and gritted his teeth. Ah! This made Luffy quickly retract his fist and lie on the ground in excruciating pain. Boom! 4 black swords descended from the sky, piercing Luffy's palms and legs respectively, and lifted him up from the ice. Tyr took him behind him and walked towards Ace. Marco dragged his injured body and transformed into a phoenix, spreading its wings and flying high. As a doctor, don't think I can't see it. Marco transformed into a human animal form and stretched out his phoenix legs to accumulate power in the air. Your body has deteriorated seriously, Phoenix Seal. He burned the immortal flames on his body and kicked Tyr down hard. Facing Marco's moves, Tyr just moved his fingers slightly. Advertisement boom. A black sword in the sky penetrated his abdomen and plunged him into the ice in an instant. The burning fire feathers on his body were also extinguished by the domineering aura, and the domineering aura spread on his body to prevent him from resisting again. As a phoenix, as long as Tyr lets go of him with his sword, he will immediately rise from the ashes. Compared with Ace Logia, the flame is different, with the damage blessing of domineering. Ace's body was completely stabbed with black swords and was seriously injured. He lay on the ground and kept kicking his legs to escape from Tyr. Watch the scene of your brother being killed by me with my own hands, Straw Hat Boy. Damn, what kind of terrifying ability is this? The body is strengthened in close combat, long-range attacks can cover the sky and the earth, and the body can be elementalized like Logia. Tyr quickly walked up to Ace, grabbed his neck and looked at him. The sober live broadcast phone bug was targeted by soldiers at Tel, and the live broadcast footage from all over the world was released again. On the dark battlefield of Marinevando, a terrifying and dense rain of swords hung in the clouds. You are a cold-blooded monster, Tyr. Ace activated his ability and ignited his whole body. He wanted to burn Ty with the temperature of the flame, but found that his own flames could not burn the elemental Ty at all. Ace. Whitebeard walked quickly towards Tyr, and suddenly a severe pain in his chest made him miserable. An old injury recurred, causing him to temporarily lose the ability to move and squat on the ground. Whitebeard glanced around and saw his sons lying on the ground wailing, all pierced by black swords. You can obviously use the title of adventurer, but you have to treat pirates as a dream voyage to harm people. You are guilty of an unforgivable crime. The black knife wrapped around Haki, and Tyr aimed at Ace's head. Wait a minute, Lieutenant General, please target the live phone bug before executing him, the soldier from the projection department shouted. Teal faced the phone bug, and the image zoomed in on live screens around the world. In front of Luffy, the knife penetrated Ace's body of fire. No, don't, Ace, the heartbreaking crying gradually distorted Luffy's expression. After letting go of Ace, the flames on his body gradually extinguished and he collapsed to the ground. At the moment of death, an incomprehensible smile appeared on Ace's face. It's your turn. Damn it. How could our Whitebeard pirates end up like this? Marco watched Ace being killed and had already lost his determination to fight. Even though he had been rescued, he was still beheaded by Tyr, who had returned from hell. The moment Tail swung his blade at Luffy, the red-haired man who was fighting fiercely with a Kainu used his haki to the maximum to cut a Kainu with his sword and repel Kizaru. Holding a knife, he rushed at Tyr at high speed. Faced with such a choice, Teal must make a decision in an instant. To kill Luffy? Or will his deteriorating body be slashed with all his strength by the red hair? He didn't hesitate and naturally chose to protect himself. He immediately put away the knife and quickly moved back a few steps. Boom! Shank's crimson divine blade penetrated the earth, and his overlord slash tore through the sea and sky. Seeing Tyr dodge, he grabbed Luffy, who was restrained by the black sword, held him in his arms and rushed out of Marine Fando. Our grudges cannot be resolved by life or death, Marine Lieutenant General Tyr. Advertisement: the officers of the red-haired pirate group who escaped from the battle all followed the red-haired ones and wanted to evacuate. How does it feel to lose your partner in person? Blood overflowed from Tyr's neck. He immediately refilled his breath with sword energy and did not swing the sword at Shanks again. The deterioration of his physical injuries made it impossible for him to continue fighting hand to hand. Reason overcame Tyr's emotions. Whenever we encounter them on the sea in the future, we can completely kill them one by one. After all, Tyr's fruit power has awakened, and it is so powerful that he is a little shocked. At its peak, it can still fight against the 4 emperors alone. Like a group of dead people, Tyr watched the red-haired pirates escape. They no longer evacuated, but all fled Malinfondo with their bodies bruised and bruised. After his injury improved, Whitebeard stood up and said angrily, "Red-haired kid, I have something to ask you." He looked at his son's body lying on the ground, and unparalleled anger coursed through his body. "What's up? Take Marco away too. The Whitebeard pirates cannot live without survivors." "What are you going to do, Whitebeard? Aren't you going to retreat?" The red-haired man was a little shocked. "Retreat? In this case, Whitebeard will live in endless regret." His decision led to the destruction of all pirate groups under his command. In his heart, the soul of his dead son could not be explained. "I want Malinfondo to be my burial cemetery." The red hair was shocked by Whitebeard's words. Thinking about Whitebeard's fruit ability, he could indeed do such a thing. If the power of the earthquake is fully unleashed, there is a risk of destroying the world. This is also the reason why Whitebeard has been able to dominate the sea for many years. Whitebeard grabbed the air with both hands and aimed at Tyr. A sharp tug. The world around Malinfondo shook violently, and the ice on the sea was shattered by the terrible earthquake. Let's fight it out, Marine. Tyr's elementalization avoided the damage caused by the power of the shock, but he was still affected by the power of the shock. Ah! Tyr felt his internal organs being torn apart and immediately used his domineering armor to resist. Watching helplessly, all the members of the red-haired pirate group protected Marco and Luffy from escaping. Whitebeard's moves opened a path for them through the ice. Are you crazy, Whitebeard? You asked for this. If he causes the crustal movement, the whole world will be affected. Stop him quickly, Warring States shouted. Exploring the scent of thunderstorms and dead wood, Tyr recalled them behind him from the battlefield. Even the Yang Shi in Dasky's hand returned to hovering behind Tyr. The sword energy in the cloud kept bombarding the red pirates, but the red hair blocked them all with Griffin. Ahem. The movement in Tyr's stomach made him vomit blood from his mouth. Subconsciously, he covered his mouth with his hand, but his hand was stained with thick blood. My body. Can't hold it anymore. He turned to look at Whitebeard, who was surrounded by 3 generals. I think we should at least kill this guy in front of the civilians of the world. Chapter 73. On top of the war, suppression breaks out, contradictions and disputes. On the Sabodi Islands, countless people were so shocked that they could not close their mouths. What's going on with that body? Why is he still standing? What happened during the signal outage? Can you really move if your neck is pierced? The captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates was executed with his own hands. The horrific scars accumulated on Tyr's body over the years were revealed on the world's live broadcast screens. His back and chest were all covered with scars from fatal injuries. Whitebeard Pirates, what happened? That red-haired Shanks actually escaped in embarrassment, quickly recorded and prepare newspapers. The 2-4 Emperor's pirate groups can't defeat the Marine headquarters. The perception of civilians around the world was once again refreshed. The 4 Emperors, known as the most terrifying ones on the ocean, were insignificant compared to the combat power of the Marine headquarters. On the screen, the sword light gathered into a silver waterfall, falling towards Whitebeard's body from all directions. Facing the 3 generals, the power of the shock fruit in his body exploded, causing countless cracks in the buildings, ground, and headquarters building of Malinfondo. Whitebeard vented the silent anger in his heart at this moment. Letting flashes of light, magma, ice spears, and flying swords penetrate his body, Whitebeard is determined to make Malinfondo the final tomb of his life. Marine. I'm Whitebeard. Do you want to kill me at this level? Whitebeard faced the last battle of his life with a smile. My mind is filled with memories of this life. He kept fighting with the ice blade and a Kainu sword in his hand, even though his body was penetrated by a Kainu's magma fist. With one Tyr's flying sword stuck in his body, he was like an unkillable monster, fighting endlessly. From Marine's perspective, he is a terrible enemy and an unforgivable pirate. From the perspective of the pirates, he is the strongest man worthy of respect and belief. Go to hell, Whitebeard. This sea doesn't need you pirates, Dark Hound. Whitebeard, who was restrained by Aokiji and Kizaru, was almost unable to resist the siege of the 3 generals. Akainu used his killer move, Dark Hound. The fist of hell charged up and swung at his brain. Whitebeard reacted quickly and tried to twist his neck to avoid it. But the next moment, boom, advertisement Dark Hound punched half of his head, instantly knocking off half of Whitebeard's head. Well, Akainu looked at Whitebeard, who took a few steps back. Seeing that he could still move after half of his head was blasted by him, he had to admire the enemy in front of him. He is indeed known as the strongest man in the world. He can still move even though half of his head is gone. Haha, Whitebeard still had a smile on his face. We're still far from it, Lava Brat. As soon as he stabilized his body, he was stabbed into the body by the black sword that continuously attacked him. HMPH, Akainu clenched his magma fist and smiled at Whitebeard. It seems you are very satisfied with this tomb. Admit defeat, Whitebeard. It's not a shame to lose to our Marine, Kizaru mocked. Alala, Whitebeard, you are getting old after all. The 3 generals stood in a row in front of Whitebeard, their cloaks flowing in the wind behind them. This historic moment was seen by the soldiers, on the other side of the battlefield. Lieutenant General Garp. What are you going to do? Lieutenant General. You want. The soldiers watched Garp approach Tyr and did not dare to stop Garp. The endless anger in Garp's eyes, mixed with the warm memories of Ace's infancy, made Garp's inner anger completely explode and he walked towards Tyr. Garp. Don't make another mistake. Sengoku ran towards Garp and tried to stop him. The injuries on Tyr's body are no longer able to withstand any hand-to-hand combat. If Garp, who is so angry at this moment, is allowed to go to Tyr's side, Marine's future terrifying combat power may fall into the hands of its own people. Ha, ha, Tyr continued to control the flying sword condensed from the infinite sword energy in the cloud to attack Whitebeard. Turning around to face Garp again, she was surprised to find that he was walking toward her with terrible hostility and murderous intent. Ha 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 ha. Sensing his emotions, Tyr suddenly covered his face and laughed wildly. Teal. Warring States noticed Tyr's sudden strange emotion. What are you going to do? Countless swords are like stars, and the sword energy in the clouds interprets the madness in Tyr's heart. The Warring States period was very afraid that in his mad mood, Ty would drop all the black swords covering his head. If that happens, everyone in Malinfondo will suffer a devastating blow. The terrifying performance after the sudden awakening of his devil fruit power made the world tremble. Possessing the purest power of large-scale destruction. Advertisement. Even though the blood flowed out of Tyr's neck and fell drop by drop on the ice, Garp did not change the decision in his heart at this moment. Is Marine still going to have a civil war? Mariah squatted in front of Oz Jr.'s body, trying to sew the body together for his use using suture technology. The Shichibukai who participated in the war except Bartholomew Bear rebelled and was killed by Tyr. Others did make some contributions to resisting the Whitebeard cadres and the pirates, but the rest of this had nothing to do with them. They didn't show any intention of leaving. They wanted to watch the rare and powerful battle in this world. Don't stop me, Sengoku, idiot. Do you know what it means to rebel in front of the world? World Live replied that this means that the world's most powerful person is also interested in what happens in Marinefondo. Although I don't know what happened to the signal that was cut off midway. But from the extent of the war damage and the corpses of Whitebeard Pirates members everywhere, we can tell which side has won. I'm not trying to betray you. I will take full responsibility for it afterwards. Ha 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 ha. What are you going to do? Kill me? Revenge for Ace? Tyr, who was laughing wildly, was not afraid when Garp approached. You are the executioner. Can you stop making excuses, Garp? If killing pirates is an executioner, I would rather be the executioner you call me. After Tyr said, about 400 sword blades were summoned from the air by Tyr, and 4 black sword and shield formations were formed around the body to prevent Garp from attacking. Although the hand-to-hand combat ability is gone, the long-range ability is still extremely powerful. In particular, Tyr's control ability is far greater in number and more powerful than before. The dense rain of swords in the air was also Tyr's last fighting power. Garp. Sengoku jumped behind Garp, pressed him on the ice and yelled at him angrily, don't do anything stupid. Put away your preparations for battle. Who wants to put down their battle preparations in front of someone who wants to kill me? Boom. Boom. Thousands more sword blades fell from the clouds, forming a powerful sword formation around Tyr's body. You didn't even listen to me. He had never seen Tyr so emotional before, and Sengoku, who had suppressed Garp, was also surprised. I rushed to the front to fight the pirates, and was almost punched to death by one of my own. Tyr's long-suppressed emotions finally burst out. You know what I went through during my coma? Tyr's face was full of anger, and he stood hunched in the center of the sword formation and complained about everything. Ha! There's another good show. Chapter 74. The war on the top ends and Whitebeard dies in battle. Garp was arrested. Although his body was badly damaged, Tyr's eyes showed a heavy and hard aura. That is a signal of perseverance and unafraid of challenges. Since Garp wants to fight, Tyr will fight him to death. Ace. Don't stop me, Sengoku. You idiot. You know what you are talking about. Shut your mouth. Feeling Garp's anger, Tyr, who was already seriously injured, did not dare to be careless at all. It was he himself who failed to give his righteous son good guidance, which led Ace to become a pirate and end up like this. Everything is attributed to his own indulgence in the germination of evil and the development of pirate power. He has full authority to train Luffy and Ace into Marines. But now, the crimes he cultivated were executed by Tyr himself, causing him to hate Tyr to the extreme. I didn't think about the problem from Marine's perspective, but from the perspective of family and affection. I'm going to kill him. Boom. After Tyr heard that Garp was going to kill him again, the way his eyes looked at him was as cold as frost. The countless black swords in the sky were changing constantly, and Tyr's mood became more and more restless. They began to form and spread out in the sky like a torrential rain covering the sky. Projection department. Don't take pictures of the phone bugs here. Sengoku suppressed the angry Garp with one hand and said to the soldiers in the projection department. After receiving the order, they realized that it was better not to announce this internal strife situation. Defeat the 4 emperors and kill the pirates. This was obviously a moment worth cheering for all soldiers, but conflicts and internal strife arose among the top brass of the army. Tyr's innate vigilance allowed him to control the blade first and attack Garp. Stop, Tyr. Don't attack your comrades. He is the enemy, the rebel. Every flying, rotating, and thrusting sword is the prelude to death. The sword dances with the wind, with great momentum. The light shed was a way of vending Garp's surprise attack at a critical moment. It was Tyr's decision to break off the relationship with him. The generals who survived the battle with the white-beard pirates and the red-haired pirates were silently watching everything on the battlefield in the bay in Oris Square. He broke free from the shackles of Sengoku in an instant, and smashed a large number of Tyr's swords with the impact of his iron fist. Garp, stop being so casual. Understand your position and responsibilities as a soldier. What do you think about Marine's future? Taylor asked Garp, who exuded domineering power from his soul. After hearing what Teal said, Garp felt a little shaken. The moment he broke into the sword formation composed of thousands of black swords, Tyr raised his sword fingers with his left hand. An unprecedented murderous aura was released, invading the entire Marine Fando battlefield. Advertisement, after being injured like that, does he still have such a strong murderous intention? Just now, actually, became his enemy. Hancock's legs were so frightened by this strong murderous intent against Garp. Recalling that Tyr wanted to lead troops to Nine Snakes Island in person, he began to worry about his people. She had also vaguely heard rumors about terror from the ears of her people, about the brutal incident in which one man massacred the entire pirate nation. The cold light in Tyr's eyes flashed, like the eyes of a beast in the dark, condensing the terrifying power of murderous intent. Kirby is a recruit. He is still an immature brat and his thinking needs to be improved. You should not publicly execute him. Garp felt Tyr's murderous intent and was very shocked in his heart. Such terrible murderous intent surpassed his anger towards family affection. Judgment sword formation. The sky and the earth changed color, and the covered clouds suddenly became bright. The huge boundless sword energy split into half and rushed towards Garp. Each sword seems to have life. They are swung, rotated, intertwined, superimposed, and merged to form an unfathomable radar network around Garp. I respected you, Garp. But the moment that respect was exchanged for threats, you no longer deserve my respect for you. How is Tyr's condition? Can he still fight? Huo Shaoshan asked the battlefield doctor beside him. Lieutenant General Tyr, he is dying. General Yamanaka will be burned. The ferocious sword became more and more powerful, causing the three generals who fought against Whitebeard to have to evacuate from Whitebeard. The scene of Whitebeard being bombarded by countless swords was presented to the whole world. The world was shocked when the man who was known as the strongest man in the world fell into such a situation. Marine, Whitebeard, who was drowned in the sword rain, let out a shuddering roar. Under the sharp flying swords, his broken body, which was seriously injured by the three generals, suffered another devastating blow. The traces of atmospheric tearing gradually became smaller in the sword rain until they disappeared. Hero Garp, what are you doing? Akainu, who was out of the battle, walked towards where Garp was and asked. Compared to Tyr, who laughed maniacally and was a bit crazy, he looked more like he had lost his mind. Akainu, stay at your mission position. Sengoku stopped him from approaching. Akainu didn't listen this time. Victory was right in front of him, but there was such a big internal conflict. Fleet Admiral, betrayal by a comrade is a very serious problem. You can't keep it secret because you have been a close friend and comrade with the hero Garp for many years. Akainu. Teal was a little shocked when he heard Akainu's words. Can't believe he's actually on her side. He originally thought that everyone would stand against him. Hey, Marine, wow. Doflamingo walked up to the soldiers in the projection department, announced the most exciting event. What are you going to do? Doflamingo, Marine headquarters versus the four Emperor's red-haired pirates and whitebeard pirates won a great victory. Don't hide any internal conflicts, okay? Advertisement, such an interesting thing should be made public. Boom. A black sword fell from the sky and suddenly landed in front of Doflamingo and Mariah. Let their faces break out in cold sweat, and they quickly take a few steps back vigilantly. A dying beast is also a beast. Don't be like this, I understand. Whitebeard seems to be dead. Kazaru and Aokiji waited for the smoke to clear and found Whitebeard kneeling on the ice. The back was filled with Tyr's black sword. The legendary pirate ended up like this? Whitebeard, who had swords all over his body, held the sword with one hand and knelt on one knee. Both the body and the brain were penetrated by the sword. Prior to this, Whitebeard had been severely wounded by the three generals, and there was almost no room for him to fight back. What are you doing, Hero Garp? Akainu came outside the sword formation where Tyr bound Garp and watched the angry Garp inside gradually calm down. Damn it. Garp clenched his fists and stared at Tyr. Sword God / second style. The arrogance lingering behind Tyr flickered, as if it was about to disappear. Tyr slowly reached out and pinched the handle of the whaling knife behind him. Okay, Tyr. Warring States walked up to Tyr. Garp has woken up. He will bear the responsibility in the military court when the time comes. Tyr glanced at Warring States, and suddenly his vision was spinning and his heart felt a sharp pain. The body leaned forward and fell directly towards the ground. Thump. The moment he fell, all the black sword blades in the sky disappeared instantly, turning into mist and dissipating in the clouds. Blood flowed from Tyr's neck into the ice, splattering all over the place. Tyr. Medic. Hurry up. Give me, Major General Chisha, what do you do? Have you studied medicine? Chisha grabbed the medical box from the military doctor's waist and hurriedly ran to Tyr. Come here, handcuff the hero Garp. Akainu's sudden order made the soldiers hesitate. In terms of merit, Garp was just the person in charge, and he had no merit to speak of in this war. However, Tyr single-handedly changed the course of the entire war. Not good. The injury is too serious, we need medical equipment, Chisha cried while stabilizing Tyr's physical condition. Lieutenant General Garp, I'm offended. Soldiers holding shackles put Garp on his hands. Garp looked at Kirby's body and Ace's body and lowered his head silently. He voluntarily accepted his arrest. Chapter 75, accompanied by beautiful women, famous all over the world. A few days later. Oristown Hospital. The fight against the red-haired pirates and the whitebeard pirates was our biggest victory against pirates in the history of Marine. The shouts from the loudspeakers in the square reached the ears of every soldier's family. Tell woke up from a coma, listened to the reports from the loudspeakers in the town, and opened his eyes in a daze. He was wearing a patient's gown and bandages all over his body and could hardly move. The penetrating injury on his neck had been bandaged, and the hanging needle on the back of his hand was pulled off by Tell after he woke up. How's the battle going? Tyr muttered along with the speaker and scanned the surrounding environment. How long have I been unconscious? About 7 days. Thanks to you, there will be no serious damage to the town of Marinevando. Tyr opened his blurred eyes and looked at Chisha sitting next to his hospital bed, seemingly dressed in everyday clothes. Like a bed guarding God, she stared at him with her hands on her cheeks. 7 days. So long. Who is the woman in front of him? Taylor looks familiar, but he doesn't recognize her at all. He didn't recognize Sissa, who was slightly dressed up. The 18-year-old Marine Lieutenant General, Sword God, Tail contributed a lot to the single-handed destruction of the Whitebeard pirates. Hee. Alone. I don't have the ability. Newspaper. Have you published a newspaper? Show me. When Tyr woke up, he didn't want to move. The pain in his body made him unbearable. Haha, you are so humble, Lieutenant General, Chisha said, handing the latest newspaper on the bedside table to Tyr. Teal took the newspaper. The first thing I saw was my handsome face, which made the headlines of newspapers. So, cold, is this me? Taylor laughed at himself. The new Shichibukai invaded Impel Down and was executed on the spot by the Marine Headquarters Lieutenant General. The red-haired pirates who broke into the Marine Headquarters escaped from Marineland in panic, losing one of their most important partners. The entire Whitebeard pirates were annihilated. The death statistics of the Whitebeard pirates were also included. In addition to the forces distributed on the sea, there is only one, Phoenix, Marco, whose life and death are unknown in the entire group. Marine Lieutenant General Tyr, like a huge wave sweeping across the age of pirates, executes justice with overwhelming force. After thinking about it, Tyr's blurred vision gradually recovered, and he squinted at Chisha, who was smiling happily next to him. This woman. Who is it? She wore light lipstick, and her beautiful cheeks were like the morning sun shining on the sea of flowers, bringing brightness and warmth to Ty's heart. She has a face as delicate and charming as a blooming flower, with skin as white as snow, like an exquisite face carved from jade. His eyes are as bright as stars, shining with wisdom and purity. Advertisement. It's hard to believe that the female Major General who looked ordinary before turned out to be so beautiful when dressed up. Who are you? Tyr asked with shock in his eyes. It's me, Chisha, Lieutenant General Tyr. Chisha stood up by the window and showed off her beauty to Tyr. This woman. When did she become so beautiful? Elegant lines outline her slender figure, and her long hair is elegant and natural, like a waterfall in the dark, smooth and lustrous. Tyr stared at her blankly, amazed by her dressed-up appearance. In other words, this woman didn't dress up at all, she just hid her appearance at work. Soon, Taylor's eyes returned to the contents of the newspaper. Regarding Garp's arrest, Teal was very concerned. Garp, how's it going? After seeing the news boasting about himself, Teal finally understood. The murderous and domineering headline portrayal and the injuries on his body highlight his contribution to the war. Such reports do have a deterrent effect on pirates. Lieutenant General Garp, he has been temporarily imprisoned for committing rebellion and will soon undergo a military court trial. Well, what happened to the bodies of Whitebeard, Ace, the captains and the pirate captains? The photo of Garp in the newspaper still makes Teal a little angry. Under Lieutenant General Doberman's strict efforts and requirements, the body was paraded through the streets. Sisha did not hide any of the events and told Tell everything. However, it was only the other officers who argued for a long time that succeeded. Some people felt that it was unnecessary and that Marine's victory did not need to be announced to the world. This was strongly opposed by Doberman, Ghost Spider and others. Tyr, who understood everything, listened to Chisha's account of what had happened in the past few days. I still can't get used to how you dress up, Chisha, please take off your makeup. No, Chisha stuck out her tongue playfully, you are a strange person, Lieutenant General. Why am I weird? Taylor was a little curious. When you were fighting. I was very afraid of you. Chisha told her inner thoughts, but you were very much like a normal person in your daily life. HMPH, as Major General Marine, you were quite leisurely, Chisha. It seems that the destruction of Impel Down City was deliberately hidden, but the news of the death of 5 people in the extremely evil generation was reported normally. That's also thanks to you, Lieutenant General. I am your direct subordinate. Unlike others, I can stay with you and wait for orders even if you don't go to sea. Really? Is the teacher trying to scare away pirates in the sea? At this moment, Tyr didn't know that his name had truly resounded throughout the world. The post-live broadcast of the battle on top was seen by many people. Advertisement with a swipe of the reporter's magic pen, various conjectures and battles emerged one after another. That's why Tyr's false report of single-handedly destroying the Whitebeard pirates came out. I was really worried about you at that time, Lieutenant General, you almost died. What are you worried about me for, Sissa? Tyr was lying on the bed, stretched out his hand and led her to the bedside and asked seriously. Of course I'm worried about you. Now you are the genius of all Marines. They all treat you like a god. Don't change the subject, woman. Chisha's face turned red at the sudden greeting to Tyr. Isn't it normal for subordinates to care about their superiors? How old are you, Sissa? 21 years old, 3 years older than Tyr. You like me? I don't. Okay then. Taylor pushed her away. Just pretend I didn't ask. No. I actually. Chisha was a little at a loss after being pushed away by Tyr. I'm pretty good at that. Okay. I get it, Chisha. Tyr looked at her beautiful eyes. You dress up so beautifully, it really makes people feel happy. Don't push yourself too far, I will do bad things. Bad thing. What? Bad thing. How many days until the Garp trial? Taylor changed the topic directly. He was not in the mood to talk about love because of his injuries. He cares more about Garp's situation. It would be better if he got a life sentence or something. A week, are you going to appear in court, Lieutenant General Tyr? Tyr stood up, moved his body and walked to the sunny window, looking at the town being repaired outside. As his first target on the battlefield, I must go and see his old man, right? In this war, Garp didn't even kill a single pirate. The biggest move was to use the fist and bone impact on Tyr. How could Tyr forget it? If you take the war seriously, but you are attacked by one of your own people, how could you not want to retaliate against Garp? He lifted the bandage on his right arm and saw that the sword god's hand was permanently activated as he expected. There is no need for harsh triggering conditions, and the boundless sword energy in his body and right arm makes Tail smile. As long as he wants to activate this power, there will be arrogance lingering behind him at any time. I am hungry. The restaurant opposite is open. I'm treating you, Lieutenant General. Chisha waved her palm to Tell with an okay gesture. Invite me to dinner? Chisha, you don't want your wallet to be emptied, right? Chapter 76 Overt. Explicit, irony Garp. When Chisha took Tyr into the restaurant, she went in smiling and came out crying. Haha, I told you, Tyr said, holding a toothpick in his hand and picking out the meat between his teeth, you have to be prepared. My Bailey. You are so injured, but you still have such a good appetite? Don't underestimate me. The way she looks like crying is quite cute. Men have a desire to protect women, and the more coquettish and cute they are, the more this emotion will be aroused. Tyr is no exception. He is now more open-minded and no longer so rigid. On the streets of Oris Square, any sailor who encounters Tyr will give him a noble courtesy. Major General Smoker, telephone is in this hospital and we must buy a bouquet of flowers. When a man visits a man, it's not as troublesome as you women. Just buy a bottle of wine, silly woman. Passing by a flower shop, Taylor saw a familiar person stop behind them. What are you doing? Knife Mad B asterisk 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 asterisk, Major General Smoker? Huh? Smoker turned around with a cigar in his mouth, and was surprised to find Teal. Teal, is your injury healed? Cure? Of course not. Even with his super recovery power, Tyr's injury has not been cured. It can only be said that it has eased a lot. The scar on his neck that was pierced by shanks left a mark forever. Teal. What are you doing? Go back and lie down on the hospital bed. I want you to take care of it, you. Dasky wanted to say something more, but found that Chisha beside Tyr was hesitant to speak. What am I? I feel as if I have been reborn, haha. Tyr opened his arms and raised his head to the sky, and the sunlight shone on his cheeks. It seems that he is recovering well. You don't have to worry anymore, Dusky. Smoker recalled that time on the battlefield. If Tyr extended his sword energy to Garp, I'm afraid Garp would also end up like Whitebeard with swords all over his body. But Tyr never hurt his partner from beginning to end, not because he didn't want to, but because his body was already at its limit at that time. At the moment when his emotions broke out, he really wanted to kill Garp. Where are you going, Tyr? Dasky suddenly asked. In the clothing store, Lieutenant General, he said they don't have those marine white shirts and he doesn't feel comfortable. You know nothing. Taylor stretched out his hand behind him and sucked in the palm of his hand. 4 famous knives flew out of the hospital window in an instant, hanging behind Tyr and following him closely. Ah! Famous swordsman Sakuraju, Muku, Lei Yu. Looking at Daski's knife-crazed look, Tyr grinned. Huh, knife-crazy woman. Advertisement, ***. Why are you so lucky, do you want it, knife-crazy woman? Taylor looked at her with a smile. Think. Not for you, ***. The scabbards of the 4 blades were all thrown away by Tyr. Therefore, the blades are all bare and sharp. After the war, these guys were quite free. It seems that all official duties were handed over to other school officers, Taylor thought. Dasa-chi, you and Major General Chisha go aside. I have something to ask Tell. Ah, what are you going to ask? Stop talking and go quickly. Teal didn't care at all about Smoker's outrageous offense. This was a pleasant time. He also knew that Smoker was a P****k and didn't care about the relationship between upper and lower classes. I have no money, the Lieutenant General ate it. I have it. Let's go to the weapons store and have a look. Maybe we can pick up some kind of demon knife or something. Daski and Chisha reached an agreement and immediately walked towards other places in the town. As for Tyr, after customizing his clothes, he was taken into a tavern alone by Smoker. The moment you enter, all the soldiers who were drinking inside stood up and paid the highest courtesy to Tell in a solemn manner. No matter how drunk he is, the 18-year-old Lieutenant General from the Marine headquarters in front of them is as majestic as the sea in their eyes. Lieutenant General, sit down, sit down. After seeing this, Tyr motioned for them all to sit down and continue drinking. Suddenly I felt in my heart that being too famous and admired by soldiers was not a good thing. However, the fame gained after the war did satisfy him. The two sat on the bar chairs, and Smoker ordered 2 glasses of sherry. What are you asking, Major General Smoker? What do you plan to do in the future, with such terrifying strength? The drunken soldiers' nerves were suddenly stimulated to wake up, and they listened to all this quietly. Almost everyone knows about Tyr's ability. The terrifying sword energy that covers the world can easily destroy an island. Let nature take its course. Taylor picked up the sherry, took a sip directly, and said seriously. After all, people who can't change their minds will sooner or later be swallowed up by the darkness brought by hatred. I don't want to be like that. He was such a laid-back and serious guy. Smoker smiled helplessly and drank. Advertisement. By the way, buy 2 packs of senbei. I'm going to see someone. Who? In a dark corridor where no sunlight can be seen, Tell followed a sailor who led the way into a special prison. Tyr stood outside the cell, staring at Garp sitting cross-legged on the ground and eating senbei. Oh, this is really a rare visitor. Garp was surprised by Taylor's arrival. Garp. Taylor picked up the senbei and put it in his mouth, looking at him. The environment and treatment are very good. Lieutenant General Garp. Out of respect for Garp, Smoker still didn't act like Tyr. Call him by his first name. Give me a piece of senbei. Garp reached out of the iron fence to take the senbei from Tyr's hand, but Tyr slapped his hand away. Just 1 piece. Why should I eat senbei from my hand to someone who wants to kill me? Tyr continued to put the scallops into his mouth piece by piece in front of him, chewing them. Are you here to see my joke? What you did is no joke, Garp. You allowed your 2 grandsons to become pirates, but it has nothing to do with me. That's not my fault. They did it themselves. Garp grabbed the railing and yelled at Tyr, you shouldn't have killed them. At least Kirby is innocent. A deserter can be anything but innocent. If he does it again, I will kill him too. Hey, why have you become so inhumane now? I just want to protect my grandson. Smoker on the side could not participate in the conversation between the two and could only watch silently. The sailor who led the way had sweat on his face as he listened to the conversation between Tyr and Garp. You knew clearly that Ace was the butt of evil, but you didn't take him with you to raise him. A mission filled with bullets and bullets is too much for a baby to endure. That's why he became a pirate and admired Roger's rival Whitebeard. In the final analysis, all this is your own fault, but you want to take it out on me. With Garp's ability, even if Ace was raised in the town of Oris, he would still grow into a marine. Instead of growing up to be a pirate, call him Daddy Whitebeard. It seems. You are not at a loss either. Tyr was suddenly startled and thought of something. What? Being the godfather of Roger One Piece and the father of Whitebeard, it's not a loss. Tyr, are you trying to make fun of me? Garp grabbed Tyr's collar and glared at Tyr. Don't worry, this information will be used as testimony to convict you. I believe it will be worth your already exhausted achievements. Chapter 77 The trial begins. After all, I am equivalent to killing you. A godson and adopted grandson. It is normal for you to hate me. Ignoring the matter of letting go of Ace, Kebby should be able to let it go, right? He is just a recruit. Do you know how much harder he works than others to reach the goal of becoming a general every day? Have no idea. Tyr's cold eyes had long ignored Garp. Not a shred of respect. Even if he picked up the collar, he couldn't stop him from stuffing the senbei into his mouth and chewing it until it was crunchy in front of Garp. Looking at Tyr's eyes, Garp suddenly thought of Tyr's terrible training. It seems that comparing Kebi to him is like a baby compared to an adult. If you hadn't chosen to indulge Luffy, Ace might have been Marine. Get out of here, Tyr. You are gradually getting darker, Garp. Why are you so partial to pirates? Realizing what Teal meant, Garp said calmly, is this what is called black and white justice? If you are black, you deserve to die. From my standpoint, your son, the Revolutionary Army, is also black, and your grandson is also black. Tyr also considered the safety of civilians at that time and did not conflict with the dragon in Rog Town. Haha, you are a guy who has never had any relatives, Tyr. When you have a son or grandson, you will know the significance of what I have done. Haha, don't you want a piece of your favorite senbei? Garp. Tyr took out a piece of senbei and handed it to Garp. Garp didn't reach for it this time. After a visit, Teal left the place where Garp was being held, awaiting his trial. Ace's death also announced the end of One Piece's bloodline, and the evil inheritance was completely cut off. After leaving the internal prison of Marinefondo, Tyr and Smoker returned to the town of Oris. Your concept of justice is fine, Tyr, but if you only see black and white, you may miss many other colors. Do you think I only see black and white in my eyes? Smoker looked out of Tyr's field of vision, and saw Dusky and Shisha walking towards them. Haha, obviously not. Marine's regime needs a cleansing, and corrupt people will be judged by my sword. Although there is a pleasant smile on his face, are he still thinking about the next thing in his heart? Cold-bloodedness is affected by devil fruit, but Tyr's soul cannot be affected, so there will be minor problems under normal circumstances. It doesn't matter to him personally. There are no good knives. Why can't Marine make good knives? Dasky, who walked up to Tyr, immediately wanted to grab the famous knife behind Tyr, but was avoided by Tyr. Idiot, who wants to give it to you? Taylor flicked her fingers away. Don't you have Wajo? Advertisement, it hurts. What are you doing, you crybaby? No, you don't seem to cry anymore. Haha, but you haven't changed at all. You are a knife-crazy woman and a natural idiot. Tyle, you guy. Dasky became angry immediately after being teased by Tyr. She pulled out Wajo, held it in her hand and said seriously. In the name of a swordsman, I can't let you scold me. Let's have a showdown. The moment she took out the blade and challenged Tyr, she saw an expression of disgust and disdain on Tyr's face. Okay, just give it a try after I wake up. Taylor reached out and pinched the handle of the whaling knife behind him. Seeing Tyr holding the knife, Dasky swallowed. I'm a little scared, but I don't want to give in. Hey, you're lying. We've all seen how terrifying the sword god's blow is. Does anyone still dare to challenge him? She is also. Shisha smiled, quite suitable for civil service. I'm going to do it. Tyr untied the bandage on the sword god's hand on his right arm. This move directly frightened Dasky. Wait, do you want to use all your strength? Dasky was so scared that she backed away. Otherwise, be prepared to wake up. The moment Tyr finished speaking, his momentum put full pressure on her. Don't want. She looked at Tyr's giant-like shadow and fainted on the spot. Oh, stupid woman, Smoker said while covering his face. Tyr stood there with a look of disgust on his face and looked down at Dasky, who was lying unconscious on the street. He is a good person and loves to play. Let's go, Shisha. You are going too far, Lieutenant General. She is a woman. I'm not going to spoil her. Huh, in Tyr's eyes, this was just a joke to scare Dusky. Hey, you're going to be there, right? Garp's trial. Seeing Tyr leaving, Smoker asked Tyr. Certainly. The days passed by in a flash, and the recovery power of nutrient solution and professional eating was very obvious. In just 1 week, Tyr ate a lot to absorb nutrients and recovered quickly from his injuries. Garp's trial was conducted in a public trial by all Marine headquarters officers and CP intelligence personnel sent by the government. Reporters were heavily involved in the court-martial. The location is in the military court in the town of Marinefondo, Oris. In a heavy and solemn atmosphere, Tell slowly opened the solemn door of the hall. Advertisement. The solemn scene of countless military officers appearing in court took every reporter's breath away. The shutter of the camera kept pressing on Tale. As the youngest freshman lieutenant general in the Marine Corps, no one had ever thought about the aftermath of the Saboti Islands. He will fight at the top and display power that will horrify the world. In the center of the courtroom, there was a wooden trial table. Sitting on it was an officer with a cold expression. He was wearing a bright Marine uniform and his eyes were sharp and penetrating. It feels stingingly cold. Has the protagonist appeared? Garp stood in a corner of the courtroom, his head lowered, his eyes empty, and his body shrunken. His face was filled with guilt and self-blame, as well as a hint of helplessness. There were two groups of people sitting on the seats on both sides of the court. One group is the military officers who have been dissatisfied with Garp for doing whatever he wants for many years. The officers who have no military appearance have long wanted to pull him down. There are lieutenant generals such as Kawasaki, Doberman, Ghost Spider, and Flying Squirrel, and those sitting at the front are Akainu and Kazaru. If you don't want to participate, you can go back to sleep, Kizaru. Akainu said to Kizaru beside him. I'm also very good at judging people, Sakaski. HMPH, Garp's marine era is over, and that B*********** D Kuzan wants to defend him because of his old feelings. Tyr walked towards the lieutenant general's seat behind the two men, looking very young in front of these iron-blooded lieutenant generals. What cannot be ignored is Tyr's strength, which they witnessed with their own eyes. Good afternoon, two generals. Tyr greeted them friendly and motioned for Chisha to sit on the major general's seat behind her. Is your injury healed? Tell? Sakaski asked. It would be better to ask Granny to give you a squeeze and wash away the injuries on your neck. The other lieutenant generals looked at Tell with a smile, their eyes full of relief. It is rare to see such a righteous and awe-inspiring soldier in the Marines in recent years. No, the injury is much better, but my neck still hurts a little. Are you afraid that I will cleanse your soul? Don't be stupid, I'm not that idiot Garp. Listening to his words not far away, Tyr smiled awkwardly. He was indeed afraid of what Crane was capable of. Teal, you always wear your hair long, won't it affect your performance during battle? No, it's because I like a unique look. Taylor put on his marine duckbill hat and looked at Garp under the trial platform. Yeah, that's right, your ability is the same as mine. You can cause devastating blows without hand-to-hand combat. There is not much emphasis on styling in Marine, you can dress freely and dress freely, as long as you wear a uniform to symbolize maintaining a good Marine image. Although Mr. Garp is kind to us, his wanton behavior over the years has exhausted the title of hero. After the Rocks era ended, he seemed to have changed as a person. Anyway, his time is coming to an end. Chapter 78 Trial Garp, Overlord of the Sea. Even the Crane staff and the Buddha warring states who fought side by side with Garp in the past are now on Tyr's side. Garp's behavior has seriously violated Marine military regulations and does not deserve sympathy from a military perspective. The information prepared by Tyr and Chisha these days is enough to expose all his deeds over the years. I'm standing here because of you, little Taylor. Gion Momoshagi, general candidate for the future of Marine headquarters, greeted Tell. Her reserved temperament and charming mature appearance have been washed away by the passage of time, revealing a calm and unhurried attitude. He was looking at Taylor with a smile on his face. She is a very beautiful, powerful, and charming mature female swordsman. Tyr's last mission ended, which was the flower-picking thief mission he followed her on. The happiness of being surrounded by women every day was also what she gave to Tyr. Lieutenant General Gion. If we have a chance, let's practice sword practice again, and let me test your sword skills, little Tyr. Shut up, Gion, your plan is all in my face, none of your business. Shut up, doer. What did you say? The two of them glared at each other whenever they disagreed, one dissatisfied with the other. Woman, this is really troublesome. Tisk. Some of the generals who were usually friendly with Garp had a purpose in siding with Tyr. Gion. What are you doing? Come here quickly. Sitting across from Tyr, a man in brown clothes shouted to Gion. No, just stay there by yourself, Gia. Silence. Silence. The judge banged the hammer. Now that the main characters have entered the scene, let's begin. The soldiers in the gallery had expressionless faces, and their gazes penetrated every corner of the courtroom like sharp knives. The officers stopped arguing, and their instant serious indifference built a heavy wall for the entire court. Lieutenant General Garp, the evidence is conclusive about your rebellion at the top of the war. Do you have any justification? Both the phone bug video and many senior executives witnessed everything with their own eyes. I don't have any. You blatantly defended the pirates in the Dingfong War, but as the person in charge of this incident, you have made no achievements. Do you have any justification? No, Garp indeed did not capture or kill a single pirate. Why? As the person in charge this time, you should fully cooperate with Marine in executing Fire Fist Ace. Why did you protect him? The judge's words made it difficult for Garp to speak, so he simply said. He is my family, and as his grandfather, it is difficult to watch him die with my own eyes. In other words, as one of the people responsible for this war, you want Ace to be rescued by the Whitebeard pirates for the sake of family ties, right? Garp was silent. He did want Ace to be saved. You have the right to remain silent, Lieutenant General Garp, but war is no child's play. The judge continued to read the words on the case file in his hand. Advertisement. Is it true that you showed great protection and tolerance to your own grandson, Monkey D. Luffy, a pirate who released violent prisoners in Impel Down City and committed heinous crimes, and even almost killed Lieutenant General Tai? Now, many people are paying attention to Tyr. This is the youngest lieutenant general who single-handedly changed the entire war. Who can watch his loved ones die in front of him? Garp looked up at the judge. Trying to justify one's behavior. Mr. Lieutenant General, you only need to answer yes and no. That's right. In this silent courtroom, the judge's words were as deafening as thunder in Garp's ears. Warring States shook his head at his seat, sighing and disappointed. He tried to stop Garp, but it was too late. If Garp's matter had not been announced, he could have used his identity as Marine Fleet Admiral to protect this close friend in front of him. The fourth question is it true that you shielded the deserter, Sergeant Kirby, on the battlefield? After he also stopped Marine from chasing the retreating pirates, you still chose to shield him. Lieutenant General Taylor takes action. True. The sunshade cloth in the room was pulled down, and the picture in the video phone bug was reflected in everyone's eyes. It's all based on what the judge just said, in response to Garp's performance in the top battle. Looking at those pictures, Tyr suddenly became angry and clenched his fists. There is no doubt that it is indeed true. Putting a Marine legend like you on trial will require a series of tasks. Taking into account your contributions and achievements over the years, we will give you the final verdict. Whatever crime is sentenced, I will be sentenced quickly. I will bear all the responsibilities. Garp almost didn't care about these problems. Now the only thing on his mind was Luffy's safety. When the two of them embarked on the path of pirates, he had already been mentally prepared to face this day. However, after experiencing it personally, it is still difficult to accept it and let anger go to my head. Please speak to both parties. The judge asked for instructions from the party that defended Garp, and the party that wanted to push Garp off the altar. Sengoku, he and others who were also his close friends did not speak. Aokiji was the first to stand up and defend himself. It goes without saying to everyone present that Lieutenant General Garp has made a great contribution to Marine, Aokiji said. Small question. As expected of the disciple brought out by the hero Garp, Akainu retorted. This made Aokiji a little unhappy and continued. It's been 2 weeks since the war ended, and the entire Whitebeard pirates were destroyed by the Marines. I don't think we can hold a public trial against a hero from the old era at such a time. Then you mean that the name of hero is used to cover evil and sin? Sakaski, you have trouble with me, right? Mr. Garp takes good care of you. The representative of absolute justice, Akainu Sakaski, was indeed cared for by Garp during his time as Lieutenant General. But he was not at all dissatisfied with Garp's erroneous behavior and style, and now he finally got the chance to get rid of this guy with erroneous views. Also to prevent Marine from having these guys who have friendships with pirates in the future. You really do follow his temper, Kuzan. The cold and hot breaths of the two people spread in the courtroom, and the judge immediately stopped them. Please both sides calmly provide defense testimony, and we will give Lieutenant General Garp a symmetrical crime. Hero Garp. Jiaji suddenly said, just based on this name, can he erase his trial this time? It was Garp who protected the Tianlong people in the Valley of the Gods back then. Advertisement. The words Tianlongren entered the court and caused quite a stir. Many people don't know this kind of thing, but these 3 words alone represent authority. As a Marine, Doberman suddenly said, how about Mr. Garp's protection of the pirates and the Straw Hats in the Water City? This kind of thing has happened to him more than once. Although I respect you, Mr. Garp, your wanton behavior over the years has long consumed the military morale within Marine. The corruption within Marine is also related to you. If you continue to let your free will spread in the military, what kind of organization will Marine become in the future? An organization that relies on money to buy positions, and subordinates can be forgiven for making mistakes to please their superiors, shown the so-called worldliness. We Marine are the embodiment of justice, and we exist to maintain order in the sea. If everyone joins the army through human connections, then who will maintain law and order on the sea? Because of your strength and your deeds, we have always respected you, but your behavior of not firing a single shot in the war at the top, or even punching the pirates, what exactly does it belong to? With Whitebeard, has it been agreed upon in advance? During the war, the she-males suddenly ran away. Why didn't you stop them, Mr. Garp? Bring Garp down from the altar. Marine doesn't need a hero like you. The soldiers were moved emotionally by the Lieutenant General beside Tyr. Everyone seems to understand. What is the meaning of Marine? Do you rely on human connections and sophistication to climb up? No, it is selfless dedication to the common people of the world. There is no need for such a guy to exist. We have reached this point, Smoker said, sitting next to Chisha. It seems that everything is brewing, and the outcome of Garp's trial will definitely not be any better. Seeing each of the lieutenant generals stand up to speak, Tyr was also extremely shocked. He never thought that there would be so many people in Marine who were dissatisfied with Garp. It seemed that the internal relationship within Marine was also very conflicting. At this moment, Garp in the center of the court looked solemn and somewhat disbelieving as he listened to these remarks. Even he himself had not thought about what his image in Marine would be. What restrains him is not the sea tower stone shackles on his hands. That kind of thing can be easily broken free by his powerful physical skills. What really binds Garp is his twisted justice. He was unable to make the right decision at the critical moment, and he failed to correctly guide his grandson to join Marine. Garp, you brought this on yourself. I warned you a long time ago not to be too casual in the army. Let me just say, complete justice is impersonal, Kuzan muttered. Well said. Tyr stood up and applauded loudly. What kind of justice is he? Garp's justice has been distorted long ago. Tyr. Tyr will never show mercy to someone who wants to kill him. He will try his best to dig out everything Garp has done over the years and ruin his reputation. If it's serious, he'll be executed directly, or get out of Marine. If he can't stand this trial and betrays Marine, Tyr can justifiably kill him. Marine may have to face a reform, Sengoku said easily. He actually had a veto power, but the CP intelligence agency next to him did not speak for the Tianlong people, making him look at Tyr with suspicion. Could it be that all of Tyr's relationships have gone to the Celestial Dragons? If this momentum continues, Marine will be fully occupied by the Hawks. 70% of Marine executives all sided with the trial of Garp. The invisible sense of oppression brought by the Absolute Hawks also made reporters understand one thing. That is, the real overlords of the sea are not the four emperors, Shichibukai, or some slightly better off pirates with over 100 million pirates. But Marine, Chapter 79, the verdict is low, things turn around? It's over. Has the price of indulgence been reckoned with? Aokiji couldn't believe it when faced with such an unfamiliar Marine. Ask, Mr. General Aokiji, what's going on with Judiciary Island? Why did you take all the responsibility? In the case of Judiciary Island, even Sengoku and he were involved, and the destruction of one of the three major institutions was resolved. Why were you there at the time but unable to prevent the Straw Hats from escaping? You are a general, and Garp is a lieutenant general. Your power is completely superior to his. Then, Garp, who came back from capturing the Straw Hats in the Water City, said this. He directly expressed his attitude to warring states. He was his grandson and he did not want to catch him and bring him back to justice. Afterwards, Luffy invaded Impel Down and released a large number of prisoners. Although many of the escaped prisoners were killed by Tyr himself. The Straw Hats ran too fast. I should have done something in the report. Where are you fooling me? Your ability can instantly freeze the ocean dozens of kilometers away, and it will not melt for a whole week. Aokiji was speechless after being scolded by Tyr, and stared at Tyr with a sad face. The soldiers were drunk and talking nonsense. Taylor looked back at Garp in the center of the courtroom. Garp met Straw Hat Luffy and let them go personally. So what? Garp said solemnly. Then what's going on? Tyr gritted his teeth. Not only did you ignore your grandson's behavior as a pirate, you also allowed them all to escape. Garp could have told Luffy what would happen to him as a pirate when he was in the Water City. However, he not only used his reputation and position to protect Luffy, but also prevented other officers from pursuing him. This is quite understandable. Straw Hat Luffy is the grandson of Lieutenant General Garp. No one else would be able to arrest his own grandson, right? Well, that's right. What the reporters said was indeed correct. However, from the perspective of soldiers, the Straw Hats declared war on the world government and asked the CP chief to trigger the terrible island-destroying operation of Buster Call. They could not escape the death penalty, but Garp used the powerful powers of Suru, Sengoku, and Aokiji to suppress such things. This shows how corrupt Marine is today. Judiciary Island is one of the three major institutions in the world. It interrogates the world's most evil criminals and gives the world's civilians a place to answer questions. Was he ruined by a bunch of brats like this? It's as if you deliberately guided your grandson to become a pirate. I don't have it, advertisement. No, Taylor grinned, feeling very ironic. With the power of a punch that can withstand war, if you use it on their ship, can the Straw Hats escape? The judge listened, banged the hammer and said, "This is a public live broadcast court. Please don't bring personal emotions, Lieutenant General Tell. Put this aside, Garp, apart from that battle decades ago, how are all your deeds any different from those of pirates?" Regarding Garp's behavior, the CP intelligence agency personnel were also prepared. He has refused the government's promotion to general numerous times, as if he did it on purpose. Haha, you are just an 18-year-old kid. What do you know about the old times? I personally accepted Roger's proposal, rescued Roger's son from South Blue Battleer Island, and raised him in my grandfather's name to join the Whitebeard Pirates. Alas, warring states originally wanted to announce these things in Dingdingzen. Due to my years of friendship with Garp, I didn't mention these things. Is this true, Lieutenant General Garp? The flickering light in Garp's eyes seemed to have returned to 20 years ago. I don't know. Are you raising Marine, or are you raising the second One Piece in the future? Word by word, Taylor recounted all the things that had been prepared for Garp that would violate Marine law. Since he could kill without taking action, he would never let go of such an opportunity. The female lieutenant generals who had been friends with Garp, Duo, Gion, Tina and others were stunned and did not say a word during the whole process. They didn't know what to say in such a situation, because Garp was indeed a person who disobeyed orders. Ahem. Taylor read everything on the note, his throat hurting as he said it. So, everything you do is more like cultivating powerful enemies for Marine. Mr. Garp, please tell me, are these things true? The leader of the Revolutionary Army, the Straw Hat Boy, and the captain of the 2nd Whitebeard Division. Did Garp create all of this? he is fully capable of training Fire Fist Ace into a Marine and bringing him to Marinefondo to raise him with the help of his years of friendship with the Warring States period. To be honest, after learning everything about you, Taylor sat down from his seat, I feel more like you are an undercover agent who has been lurking in Marine for many years. Boom. The whole audience was shocked. Garp, who was hailed as a hero by Marine, had no one to stand up and say a word for him at this moment. Where's Kirby? Kirby is a Marine who wants to become a general. Bellameb suddenly plucked up the courage to speak. Don't bring shame on deserters. Marine has no shortage of hardworking soldiers. Advertisement. The lineup speaking for Garp are all young people, all members of the sword team. A group of brats whose combined experience is not even 1/10 of what Tyr fought. After all the evil things about Garp were announced, Sengoku and he also remained silent. Kirby. Don't cry, Skylark, deserters are not worth your liking. Quiet. Lieutenant General Garp, is everything Lieutenant General Teal said just now true? If true, Garp's achievements are far from enough to make up for the crimes he committed, and everyone will doubt his identity. Even though he is a guy who always talks about justice. Garp, please answer truthfully, the CP spies suddenly spoke. When making choices based on interests, they also sided with Tyr. First of all, taking into account the issue of age, Tyr's terrifying strength is simply an unprecedented monster in history. Garp is now too old to deserve the government's time. With all the information provided by Teal, he can be knocked down from his position as Marine hero. True. Boom. The judge banged the gavel in his hand angrily. So, Lieutenant General Garp has colluded with pirates and raised the new generation of pirates for many years, causing great threats and panic to the world. This is a slander and insult to justice. I declare that he will be deprived of his title of hero. I will remember your many years of contribution to Marine in Garp and expel you from Marine. Expelled from Marine? He finally understood that such a terrible crime that endangers the world was just expelled from Marine. Looking at Sengguo, who had been almost silent throughout the trial, Tyr's chest began to rise and fall, and a smile gradually appeared on his face. Tyr stood up from his seat and sneered. Ha 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 ha. What's this? As expected, I still want to repay you with a punch, Mr. Garp. With this result, Teal was so angry that he jumped up from his seat and kicked open the court door. Where are you going? Tyr, go to the ocean and relax. After so many testimonies, Garp was finally released by Marine? He felt that taking practical actions would plunge Garp into darkness even more. Wait for me, Lieutenant General. Chapter 80. Dissatisfied with the trial, heads to Nine Snakes Island. Marineland Shipyard. Tell crossed his legs and sat on the side of the ship waiting for the soldiers to gather. He suddenly understood something. If Marine's oldest officers are not eliminated, Marine will never be able to achieve true justice. Corruption will not be eliminated. Ha, Lieutenant General. Just wait for me. Chisha rushed over and looked at Tyr's disappointed expression. Gather 50 soldiers to control the warship and follow me to Nine Snakes Island. What are you doing there, Lieutenant General? I'm so angry that I want to put his grandson's head in front of his eyes. Within this week, Tyr has obtained information about Luffy. He was protected by Pluton Rayleigh and was practicing on an uninhabited island called Ruskina, near Nine Snake Island. It should take a few days before banishing Garp, right? He must be driven into despair before he is expelled from Marine. However, Marine cannot go to Shichibukai's country to cause trouble without authorization. It's okay, get on board, we already have enough reasons. All right. The warship set sail and headed towards the sea. Garp's disgrace quickly spread around the world and caused quite a stir. The moment Newsday was published, the last reputation of the monkey family was completely destroyed by Garp. The entire family is a very evil being, up to Monkey D. Garp. Medium to Monkey D. Dragon, down to Monkey D. Luffy. One day out at sea, Marine's internal disputes were suppressed by Sengoku, who immediately called Taylor on the phone. Brubru, the sea breeze was blowing the justice coat behind Tyr. He had been staring at the phone bug in his hand for several minutes. Connect. Where have you been, Tyr? Go for a ride and catch a pirate for fun. Come back, Garp's situation is a bit special, you don't know his temperament. Is this the reason why you shield him, teacher? If forced into a desperate situation, with his temperament, he will definitely join the pirate force. Tyr stood up and threw the phone bug into the sea without replying to Sengguo. Ah, what kind of reason is this? Ever since I saw the evil of pirates and my own incompetence, I have practiced until my bones have been broken countless times. What is it for? Lieutenant General. I didn't kill him or his grandson during the war at the top. Now I'm going to end this matter. Advertisement. At this moment, Tyr's body and mind underwent tremendous changes. This was the first time he learned that there were such big problems in Marine's internal affairs. In Marine Fando's office, Sengoku stared at the buzzing phone in his hand, as if he was drowning. Locate Lieutenant General Teal's location. Yes, Fleet Admiral. After some positioning and investigation by the soldiers, they immediately responded to warring states. Fleet Admiral. Vice Admiral Taylor's ship has sailed into the windless waters and is approaching Amazon Lily. What did he do to Nine Snake Island? Have no idea. Warring States had an unpleasant feeling at this moment, as if what Tyr was about to do was going to be beyond his imagination. Calm Sea Area. Where the Poseidons live, the warship was discovered by the daughter country's guard force before it arrived at Kuja Island and reported it to the pirate empress. Hancock learned the news and quickly summoned his country's ministers to discuss and contact the world government to seek asylum. Sorry, Pirate Empress, Lieutenant General Tyr has given instructions that you are hiding the captain of the Straw Hat Pirates in the country, and we cannot provide you with protection. What evidence do you have that you said such slanderous words to me? When she heard the news, the sweat on her face couldn't stop flowing. Because, on the uninhabited island of Ruskina near Nine Snake Island, Pluton Rayleigh was agreeing to Shank's proposal to train Luffy, who woke up from despair. She is indeed protected by her country in the title of Shichibukai. Once discovered by Marine, she can force the law to overthrow her Shichibukai regime. It is for this reason that Tell gives the government an answer. Besides, Hancock's performance in War on Top is just infuriating. Report. The person who went to sea to report Luffy was intercepted by Marine. It's over. That monster said he was coming to take revenge. He came to take revenge on me. Hancock covered his face in fear. Tears filled his eyes, as if they were about to fall at any moment. After finally meeting a man you like, a man who is not affected by his own abilities and beauty, will he eventually face the end of being punished by Marine? It would have been fine if it had been another lieutenant general, but it was Tyr, the monster. Relying on the fighting power of the daughter country, it is impossible to resist Tyr's terrifying ability. On the island of Ruskina, Rayleigh, who was waving a stick to train Luffy's domineering skills, suddenly stopped and looked in the direction of Nine Snake Island. What's wrong? Rayleigh, I can still hide. At this time, Luffy had recovered from the trauma of the war, and seriously accepted Rayleigh's proposal to train his strength. Brother Luffy, training is suspended. Something happened on Nine Snake Island. Luffy took off his blindfold and looked at the sea seriously. The smell of hostility? Let's go to Nine Snakes Island to see what happened. Advertisement. The warship docked. Shisha followed Tyr alone into this huge primeval forest. 50 heavily armed soldiers are on board the warship to guard the ship. Lieutenant General Teal, I didn't expect the government to give you the power to investigate. Ha 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 ha. Garp. Lieutenant General Tyr, are you okay? Shisha was worried when she saw that Tyr was a little out of control. He thinks that the connections and authority he has accumulated over the years can allow him to successfully survive this disaster. I want him to see with his own eyes the darkness in my heart. Walking through the dense primitive jungle, Tell was stopped by a group of strange-looking women. There are normal ones, there are deformed ones, fully armed with bows and arrows aimed at Tyr. Marine is not allowed to enter this country, especially men. Do you hate men that much? Tyr unleashed his domineering energy and shook them away. Head straight towards the town streets, unreasonable. Then when you go out to sea to find men to breed with, why don't you hate men? There are no men on Nine Snake Island. What is the source of the population? Is it the lake in a fairy tale? Can you get pregnant if you drink it? No, every time the daughter country goes to sea, she will fertilize herself internally, and then she will give birth to babies who mate with outsiders when she returns to the country. Men abandon, women stay. If you are weak, if you are timid, even the authority to stand and speak will become a joke. Just like me in the meeting. Complaints continued to come out of Tyr's mouth. What kind of court? The trial lasted for half a day, making Tyr feel that everything he provided was a joke. It's not as effective as killing Garp directly, however, now he thought of a way to make Garp even more miserable. He and Shisha walked on a street full of women, and everyone who blocked Tyr was repulsed. Until Hancock, who was recognized as the most beautiful woman in the world, appeared on the street in person with his country's ministers and subordinates. You are indeed here. Hanku looked behind Tyr. There were no other soldiers except Shisha. She was surprised, thinking that Tyr would send a large number of soldiers to come. Are you surprised? Hancock, I always keep my promises. You deliberately killed a lot of soldiers in the War on Top, but you were forgiven. What are you doing in my country? I am a Shichibukai, a pirate recognized by the world government. Hancock used the world government protection vote as a shield and angrily criticized Teal's behavior. Haha, don't you know? Tyr asked with a smile, or are you pretending to be confused because you understand? How could I possibly know? Hanku's emotional fluctuations exposed his flaws, and he was immediately noticed by Tyr. Sensing can sense people's emotions, so the moment Hancock's mood swings went wrong, Teal confirmed it. Luffy trains here. Chapter 81. Sound the sword formation and completely blockade Nine Snakes Island. Then why are you panicking? Why are you retreating? Her flaw has been exposed, out of fear of Tyr. During the war, she personally experienced Tyr's crazy strength. I'm not panicking, it's just that my body has been a little uncomfortable recently. Sister Sama. What's wrong with you? Anyone with knowledge knows that Hank Koo is not feeling unwell, but that his body is instinctively showing signs of flaw and panic in front of Tyr. Is there really a man in this world who can actually make my sister feel scared? No, how could the majestic Empress be afraid? Because, what is the purpose of your sudden invasion of my country? Straw Hat Luffy will train here, right? The Windless Belt, Nine Snake Island, and the shelter of Pluton Rayleigh, what a great place. How did he know? The Empress was so shocked that she stepped back. Look. You feel very uncomfortable when you think about this. It seems that what I said is right. You. Tyr's eyes flashed fiercely, and the terrifying murderous aura caused all the surrounding Nine Snake Island citizens to collapse to the ground with weak legs. What happens? Oh, why can't I stand still suddenly? With sharp eyes and shocking murderous intent, Teal had already gotten the answer from Hancock's performance. Me? I think the existence of this pirate nation is a bit redundant. As soon as these words came out, the Empress' body began to tremble involuntarily, and she pretended to be calm for the sake of the people and walked towards Tyr. I am Shichibukai. I have a treaty with the world government, so you can't be here. Even Chisha, who is Tyr's subordinate at the moment, is a little afraid of the cold aura on Tyr's body. Make her feel strange, scared, and frightened. In spite of the war, you also provided Straw Hat Luffy with the key to the Sea Tower stone shackles, which almost caused Fire Fist Ace to run away. Sister, let's kill him. This rude man. Anyway, when the time comes for Marine to question him, he will say that he was attacked by a Poseidon and died. Hancock looked around and saw that all the citizens were aiming their bows and arrows at Tell. She was completely panicked. I'm asking you if you have hidden pirates. Do you want to kill me? Tyr stretched out his palm towards Chisha and added a protective aura of sword energy around her body. Prevent injuries from being shot by domineering bows and arrows. No. Put down your weapon quickly. This man is not only powerful, he is also a terrifying cold-blooded creature. Seeing Tyr reaching out and holding the handle of the black knife, Hancock immediately stopped the citizens. Don't be afraid, Empress, he is only one person, besides, he is still a man. Men are just trash, what can they do? No. One of the citizens shot out an arrow in anger and rushed towards Tyr. Taylor waved his right arm toward the town streets. Advertisement boom. The terrifying sword wind spread to the coast beyond the virgin forest of Nine Snake Island, swallowing up and destroying all the people and things along the way. No. You be *********** D Marine. Take action. Chisha looked at the damaged town in front of her in shock. Tyr just swung his sword, and half of the town turned into fan-shaped ruins, all the way to the endless coast of Nine Snake Island. According to her estimate, there were at least thousands of casualties. Well, what happened? Sisters are dead. The citizens of Nine Snakes Island are all combatants, but after seeing Tyr's attack like this, their fingers tightly grasped the bowstring in their hands, and they were so trembling that they did not dare to shoot the arrow in their hands. You indirectly killed more sailors than I did with one blow, right? Why are you so angry? Taking office as the Empress of Nine Snakes, Groliosa walked out from behind holding a cane. The whole people stared at Tyr in despair. The Empress had already rushed towards Tyr and kicked Tyr with a big swinging leg. You devil! Seeing this, Chisha recovered from Tyr's killing blow, held a knife in front of Tyr and swung it out. Stop attacking the Lieutenant General. Do you want more people to die? Sissa. This woman is smart. Tyr looked at Chisha's back and blocked the Empress kick with a knife, preventing Tyr from killing people again. After all, you are responsible for attacking Shichibukai without knowing the situation. She is very familiar with the laws in Marine and the laws of the world government, and she took the initiative to stand up and eliminate the disaster for Tyr. Little did they know that Tyr already had an absolute reason to wipe this island from the world. This is Lieutenant General Marine. The previous Empress, Groliosa, held the scepter, walked to Tyr, knelt down on one knee and bowed her head and said, Niuba, he just killed so many of our people. Hancock, don't speak yet. For Groliosa, who knows more about this world, it can be seen from the strike of Tyr just now. This is an existence that the daughter country cannot defeat, and bowing down and showing weakness is the only option. You understand the truth very well, but do you think this is the end? The people are short-sighted. Please don't care about this matter. We are willing to hand over the Straw Hat Boy. New girl. No. Hancock kicked Chisha away and walked to new girl. Chisha flew out and was caught by Tyr in the air. Tyr's face became even more ugly. Even a little crazy. As the Emperor of Nine Snake Island, I beg to forgive Hancock and the people for their mistakes. Faced with such a blow, Tyr still looked at the pirate Empress expressionlessly. It's a rare thing for a pirate to admit his mistake. Luffy can't hand it over. Then are you willing to watch the people of the whole country be destroyed? Groliosa scolded Hancock. Can you defeat the man in front of you? Advertisement, my concubine. This kind of quarrel made Tyr suddenly feel a little happy at the moment. Internal strife among pirates is very common, but such a person who cares about the overall situation is facing off against an ignorant woman who is full of love, marriage, kissing, and fantasies. It's really rare. Are you okay, Sissa? No, it's okay. I was almost turned to stone, but was protected by your sword energy. Chisha looked at Tyr with some fear. That cold expression had a unique care for her. The movement caused by Tail's knife was seen by Luffy, who had just landed and rushed towards the town of Kuja Island. At the entrance of the jungle, Rayleigh arrived with Luffy. The moment Luffy saw Tyr and the scene of the town being destroyed, he became furious and turned on gear 2 and rushed towards Tyr. UB*************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************Tyr at top speed. Rubber jet seal. With a flexible rubber body, he kicked towards Tyr regardless of life and death. Domineering. Tyr was also slightly surprised when he sensed the vague domineering force on Luffy's feet. Results have been achieved in such a short period of time? Luffy. Even so, Tail's mind was not focused on Luffy, but when Rayleigh behind him pulled out half of the blade from the scabbard, Conqueror's surrounding black thunder was emitted around him. Bang! Luffy's attack aura spread on the Tyr sword, and his full blow was easily blocked and deflected by him. After the kick, Luffy circled in the air several times. Such a funny fighting method, rolling and spinning in the air long enough for Tyr to chop him into pieces. But before death, Tyr must torture him. Are you going to be the scapegoat for the monkey family? Tyr pointed his knife at Rayleigh and said that Batang, who was even more terrifying than him, had already condensed on the black knife blade. Rayleigh's expression was a little solemn, and he felt a very dark aura from the Tyr knife. Uncle Rayleigh, please, join me in defeating this guy. The 3 blades behind Ty formed the eyes of the sword array and flew quickly towards the coast of the island. Form a sword array to block the island. The sword energy is connected in the 3 blades, and the huge sword energy barrier visible to the naked eye envelops 9 Snake Island. Sounding sword formation. Tyr's move was successfully condensed. Don't think about having support or helpers. I will kill the people around you who are protecting you, and then raise your head to your grandfather. Luffy. Hancock shouted worriedly at her. Oh, and let you have a taste of the dangers of the world, and then torture you to death. Tyr suddenly smiled evilly and looked at the infatuated Hancock's love for Luffy. Chapter 82. Kill them all, who else is your protector? Marine, do you really want to kill them all? Rayleigh had already drawn out his blade. He did not look down on Tyr, and was even a little afraid of such a guy. Give me the remnants of the monkey clan, and then we can talk about what happened just now. Who wants to go with you? You be ***************** D who killed Ace. Luffy waved his fist in anger. He punched Tyr with a jet pistol from the air, and his fist was cut by Tyr's elemental body again. Ah, Luffy. Damn it, you. Hancock wanted to rush over and kick Tyr, but was stopped by Groliosa. As an old woman, she understood that Hank Ku would probably die in the past. Don't stop me, Niuba, haven't you seen the tragic state of the town destroyed by his one blow? My concubine. No matter what happens next, Hancock, you must think about it from the perspective of the Emperor. The people of 9 Snake Island who were chopped to pieces by the sword wind were completely caused by themselves. Don't take action, Luffy, you are no match for him. Rayleigh approached Tyr and tried to resolve the matter through negotiation. But Uncle Rayleigh, he is the culprit who killed Ace. Luffy said with trembling hands after learning about the more powerful power in this world. Ace is obviously right in front of me, within reach, but I can't do anything. Anyone who is a little more mature will understand that now is not the time to accompany Luffy to recall sadness. I miss him so much, how about I send you to stay with him? Telltale stepped forward fiercely, raised his sword and rushed towards Luffy. As he expected, Rayleigh also approached Luffy at the same time and stood in front of him. Suddenly, Tyr's target switched to him, and the sword god's hand swung at him like an afterimage of a sharp knife. Boom. One strike. The ground where Rayleigh was standing collapsed and a large area was cracked. The Overlord edge bloomed, and the people of the nearby 9 Snakes Island instantly fainted under the breath of the 2 Overlords' confrontation. Damn it. Why am I so weak? If I can master that hockey, absolutely. As Luffy thought about it, a potential power in his body awakened, and Conqueror's barrier aura spread in the town of Kuja Island. Conquerors, Luffy, did you just use Conquerors? Haha, it seems that the potential power has resonated and awakened. Drink. Rayleigh waved his arms at super speed. The confrontation between the 2 top swordsmen dazzled him, like a meteor streaking across the darkness. Every time Tyr swung the blade, it seemed as if there was infinite power from his spine to his fingertips. Swordsmen's clash. Tyr, who can fight from a distance, can choose to fight with Rayleigh in close combat. The movements of the 2 were so smooth that it was almost impossible to see their figures clearly. Advertisement. The sword wind roared past, violently tearing the air around the town of 9 Snakes Island, as if the entire island was trembling under their swords. The scope of the ripples expands infinitely, and Conqueror's waves impact the hearts and bodies of everyone nearby. 1 minute. 2 minutes. The two fought with all their strength for 3 minutes, but Rayleigh did not retain any strength. Due to Tyr's terrifying physical function and swordsmanship, he fell into a disadvantage. Bang! He was exhausted and was driven back by Tyr with a single sword. Huh, you have such power at the age of 18. You didn't use your ability just now, did you? Rayleigh felt the fatigue brought on by her body and wanted to take a chance to catch her breath when she saw Tyr slowly holding the handle of the knife with his left hand. Sword God / second style. The bright blue light suddenly condensed in Tyr's eyes, and the power in his hands continued to flow, quickly accumulating power on top of the mournful cry of the black knife. What a tough guy. If only I were younger. Rayleigh felt powerless. From Tyr's knife, he saw a passage leading to the underworld, and this passage was often seen by those who fought with him. Now it was his turn. The swordsmanship movements are combined with domineering power, fruit power, and sword-swinging skills. The sword energy on the sword vibrates the blade, simulating the roar of a dragon and shocking the surroundings. Dragon roar. Roar. The mad dragon broke through the air, and the black thunder continued to bloom. Taylor did not hesitate and slashed directly towards the panting Rayleigh. The space in front of him was broken open by this slash, and the range was so large that Rayleigh had no way to escape. Rayleigh. Mr. Rayleigh, oh. Rayleigh held the knife and displayed his overbearing aura. He roared and instantly gathered all his strength to resist Tyr's attacks. He looked at Tyr's attack as if there was a destructive power that destroyed everything. Boom. The moment the blade in his hand clashed with Tyr's dragon roar, the white cloak and top behind Rayleigh exploded and disappeared. What appeared in front of everyone was the ferocious figure who tried his best to resist Tyr's moves with every cell in his body. Go to hell, Pluton. It seems you are still far behind Shinigami. The infinite sword energy in the body rushed out again, blessing Tyr's slashing moves. The white light of the terrifying sword energy rushed out of the sky of Nine Snakes Island, and Rayleigh's figure was also swallowed up by the dragon's roar. The angry roar of the dragon in the sky represents the anger in Tyr's heart. The sword energy disappeared, and there was a slash mark from the sky in front of Tyr. It was obvious that he had won this duel. Attack with all your strength and show no mercy. The dense smoke and dust in the town dispersed, and the second slashing pit connecting to the ocean appeared in front of everyone. Everyone's faces were filled with shock, and they could not describe the despair brought about by Tyr's power at this moment. Lee. Luffy's horrified face could not suppress the fear in his heart. The only person who could look up to him was defeated and flew to the sea in less than 5 minutes of fighting. Advertisement Rayleigh's life and death were unknown, and Tyr also sensed from the hockey of seeing and hearing that he did not die because of this. But definitely seriously injured. The range of Malinfando's first style is doubled, Hancock said with despair on his face. Tyr gasped slightly and stared at the sea before sheathing the knife. The consumption of the sword god's slash was greater than he thought, and he knew why Shang Zan could not perform the second slash. Tyr turned around and faced the people on Nine Snake Island. Thump. Luffy knelt on the ground, looking up at Tyr with a look of disbelief on his face and walking toward him with the knife in hand. Conqueror's awakening was obviously his highlight moment, but he never thought that the highlight would be gone in an instant. At this moment, Shisha held her head with both hands, protecting her brain tightly. Even with the protection of Tyr's sword energy, she had to make her own people fearful. Who else is your patron saint? He stretched out his hand and pinched Luffy's neck, looking at him with the most terrifying eyes. Ah, who else is protecting you? Pointing the knife at Hancock, Tyr asked her. You? Then the tip of the knife pointed at Guluoliosa, who was so old that he needed to use a cane. And you? Or are you talking about the entire nation of Nine Snakes Island? Believe me, even if I kill all of you now, I won't feel anything. The dark aura on the knife, the cold murderous aura. The level of panic on Nine Snake Island has reached an unprecedented level in decades. Luffy. Hancock instinctively took a step forward. The moment he looked down at his legs, he subconsciously stretched them back. What? Do you like him so much? In front of the Empress, Tyr grabbed Luffy's neck with all his strength and smashed it to the ground in front of him. Boom. Blood flowed out of his throat. Luffy squeezed Ty's wrist with both hands and tried to break free, but found that there was nothing he could do. What's wrong? Tyr shouted towards the sky, don't you summon people to protect him? Woo. I still have a partner. Wow. Luffy's fear of death reached its limit. At the age of 17, he cried out of fear for the first time since he went to sea. Tears. Tyr looked at the tears in his eyes. This kind of thing. I have dried it up long ago. Help. Someone help me. Luffy's throat bones were almost severed by Tyr. The cry for help was also extremely hoarse. Luffy, don't. If you don't agree with me, Tyr's cold-blooded side made everyone tremble, then I'll kill you. Chapter 83 Rescue, Surprise Appearance of Monkey and His Son. Could it be? The sudden voice of Groliosa diverted the attention of Crazy Tyr with a devilish smile on his face. Don't you know who his father is? Marine hero Garp, Revolutionary Army leader Long. Do you want to make enemies of both parties? Hearing this, Tail raised Luffy high with his domineering right hand. Behind me. Who else is there? Tail's words made people hear the emotion in his heart. Even at the age of 18, he is strong enough to compete with the 4 emperors, but the voice in his heart is so sad and lonely. If Tyr was afraid, he would not come to this place to hunt him down. If he hadn't had the experience of joining Marine over the years, Tyr would still be an ordinary soldier, and it would be impossible to develop devil fruit to the extent it is today. Let me go. Let me go. Luffy struggled desperately. I can't die yet. Brew. The phone bug on Shisha's body rang. It was from the soldiers on the coastal warship. Luffy was smashed into the ground by Tyr and glanced at Shisha. It's from the soldiers on the warship, Lieutenant General. Catch. Boom. Luffy was smashed into the ground again by Tyr, and this time he almost fainted. What are you talking about, Brotherhood? Do you know how many people died during the Great Pirate Era? Ugh, Luffy spat out a mouthful of blood. Grandpa, help me. The moment he shouted these words, Tyr pinched his neck with his palm again, and then pushed him firmly into the ground. If you were really kind, you wouldn't worship Roger. His words caused the world to be in dire straits for decades. Luffy's throat was crushed by Tyr, and his life was slowly draining away. He simply didn't understand how many civilians had died because of Roger, the great pirate, and the continuous wars. Mountains of corpses, plus innocent civilians. Some people say that the evil deeds of the celestial dragons are greater than those of the pirates. That's because they don't know that the slaves in Holy Land Mary Joa who are pitiful to the virgins are all people who want to repent after committing crimes. Advertisement. Some people say that the celestial dragons are tyrannical in the world, and their tyranny has almost affected the entire world. That's because they don't know that the guys spreading these words are pirates who pursue freedom and wantonly slaughter living creatures. Some people also say that the celestial dragons are causing mischief in the world and affecting the ordinary daily lives of civilians. There is indeed such a thing, but compared with the pirates, the behavior of the Tianlong people is only an act that arouses public outrage among some civilians, and it is the guy who incites the public outrage of these civilians. It is those revolutionary armies hiding around the world who are trying every means to overthrow the world government. The impact of the Tianlong people is undoubtedly that beating them will bring about the revenge of powerful forces that will destroy the country, so almost no one dares to mess with them. Is it really good if the world government is overthrown? The answer is negative. Such a huge organization can exist for nearly 1,000 years, which has its benefits and contributions to the world. If world government is really as tyrannical as the rumors say, will hundreds of huge countries be established in the world? No matter which world, the fight in the world will never stop. Rear Admiral Shisha. There is a warship and a revolutionary army ship heading towards Nine Snakes Island. As soon as the soldiers' words were conveyed, a roaring hurricane like a dragon suddenly blew over the entire Nine Snakes Island. So what this time? Lieutenant General. Before Shisha could stand still, she was swept into the air by the violent hurricane. In an instant, Tyr reached out to grab her and put her in his arms. She hugged her Nating's straight waist like a mountain tree that could not be shaken by a hurricane. Tyr roared furiously, and his right arm was bitten by several wind dragons transformed from the hurricane. You can't save him, Monkey D. Dragon. After the Battle of Dingshang, the Revolutionary Army has been active near the Grand Route. What Tail never expected was that it was his own father who stood up to save Luffy. Then there is another warship which is undoubtedly the Garp. Looking at Luffy being blown to the sea by the hurricane, Tail's entire right arm suddenly released a terrifying light and broke free from the shackles of several wind dragons. What shocked him was that his own ringing sword formation was shattered into a big hole by the hurricane. Marine is not a good person. He actually tried and expelled Garp, who has devoted his whole life to Marine. The voice of the dragon echoed in Tyr's ears. A huge wind dragon transformed from a hurricane over Nine Snakes Island charged up and glared at Tyr, who was standing in the town of Nine Snakes Island. Then Admi. A familiar and old laughter jumped out of the air, and the familiar figure was undoubtedly Garp. His appearance filled Tyr's heart with doubts at this moment. After the trial is over, he will be imprisoned in the most tightly guarded prison, waiting for the process to be completed before being exiled to the sea. Advertisement. How would it appear here? The fistbone impact, plus a hurricane dragon body wrapped with terrifying domineering energy fell from the sky in an instant. They didn't give Tyr any time to react. They knew that if Tyr was allowed to take action, it would be an unnecessary battle. There might even be casualties. Tail slashed away the hurricane that was raging on the Nine Snakes Island, rushing towards Luffy's body like an enraged wild beast. A group of black crows darted through the hurricane, forming a black shield in front of Luffy. Sissa. Two shocking attacks in the air that could seriously injure Tyr were already approaching. Teal had to make a choice in this environment again. Did he use all his strength to kill Luffy with a single slash, then lose a loyal subordinate to himself and suffer serious injuries? Obviously it won't work. After being seriously injured and facing the two pillars of the monkey family, I'm afraid I won't be able to defeat them even with the awakening power. This terrifying natural disaster ability was specifically aimed at Tyr's existence, but other people on Nine Snake Island were blown into the carved mountain buildings. That is, in the castle built on the wall by the Pirate Queen. I can't hold on any longer, Lieutenant General. Ha 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 ha. The joyful laughter carried by the wind entered Tyr's ears. This was not him laughing, but Luffy's voice coming from behind the crow. I'm not him. Taylor stretched his right arm above his head, instantly condensing an indestructible sword energy shield. Boom. Relying on his own abilities, he resisted the sudden full-force attack of Garp and Dragon. The Wind Dragon blooms with unparalleled domineering power. The combined attack of their father and son caused Tyr to kneel on the ground, gritting his teeth to bear it. Even so, Tyr firmly protected Shisha with his left hand. What's going on with this man? Her eyes stared at Tyr's face that was gradually distorted due to excessive exertion. The sword energy barrier around her body was the sole protection provided by Tyr to her. Tyr, who has personally experienced countless big scenes, knows that ordinary people will be shocked to death under such a terrifying impact. Seal. Tyr held Shisha's arm. The ground beneath his feet was greatly dented, and his fingers gathered strength and shouted loudly. The three famous swords on the island quickly transformed from the white sword formation into the red sword formation. The tacit understanding between father and son makes their cooperation almost perfect. Ahem. At this critical moment, the force on Tyr's body reached a critical point, and the injury on his neck suddenly occurred. Chapter 84 Transformation. Kneel down and beg me. The attack by their father and son completely submerged Tyr in the town of Nine Snake Island. Monkey family. The moment he fell, Tyr was still protecting his subordinates, with fire burning in his eyes, almost completely swallowing up his sanity. A terrifying impact that shook the windless belt, like a nuclear bomb exploding under the combined attack of two people. Nine Snake Island suffered unprecedented heavy damage in an instant. The sword formation that was about to be closed made Long feel bad. The ringing sword array entangled Conqueror's devil fruit powers in the air, hoping to prevent them from rescuing Luffy and escaping. Hey, old man, you're not old yet. Upon seeing this, Long quickly roared angrily at Garp. Haha, we're still far from it. Garp's fist charged up again and disappeared into Tyr's headspace. He used the Marine 6th style, shaving, and teleported to Yingju, one of Tyr's three swords. Long launched the hurricane with all his strength, slowing down the concentration of Tyr's sword energy in the air. Fistbone explosion. Punch out. Under his punch, the ringing sword formation exploded into a diffuse aura. The power was so great that the surrounding air was blasted by his punch, emitting terrifying black thunder. Let's go. The dragon connected the surrounding heaven and earth with his hands, and the natural disaster-like hurricane started again. The hurricane unleashes its fury in the calm sea, rolling up huge waves. Like thousands of sharp swords, piercing the gloomy barrier of heaven and earth, turning the windless sea into rough waves. The sea surface trembled under the cover of the storm, and the huge waves rolled hysterically in the air. They seemed to want to swallow all the creatures on Nine Snake Island. This is the power of Monkey D. Dragon. Hancock's eyes widened, and he had to be afraid of the power of nature. Boom! As the waves crashed down, a hurricane wall surrounded the interior of the Nine Snake Island palace. He himself turned into a hurricane dragon and disappeared over Nine Snake Island. Huge waves washed over Nine Snakes Island, and all living creatures on it were destroyed. The shocking scene is like angering the gods, launching a devastating natural disaster to the world. The moment he was submerged in the sea, Tyr's devil fruit ability also disappeared. The pirates of Nine Snake Island in the hurricane wind wall looked at the washed-out town without any ripples at all. All the country's information and documents are in this carved mountain palace. They were living like primitive people and didn't care at all. They could just build more at worst. After a while, the huge waves dispersed, and Nine Snake Island seemed to be washed. Hancock led the National Guard out of the palace and came to the top of the deep pit where Tyr was submerged, overlooking Tyr who had fallen into a coma below. Advertisement: this is your chance to kill him. Looking at Tyr in a coma, Hancock's ambition stimulated her brain nerves. For her, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Hailu stone handcuffs are ready. Ahem. Lieutenant General. Shisha, who had been protected by Tyr, lay in the middle of the pit, soaked all over. Sea water kept spitting out of his mouth. Seeing Zhu Shedao holding the Nationals and the Sea Tower stone approaching Tyr, she held the black knife in Tyr's hand and screamed. Lieutenant General. Wake up. She is not a devil fruit user, so the sea water has no negative impact on her. Haha, what a loyal subordinate. Without Teal's intimidation, Hancock moved her superior posture and came to Tal with her hands on her hips. After a few kicks, Shisha was trampled on the ground and kneaded. Quickly handcuff him, this guy's ability is too terrifying. The moment he cuffed the seafloor stone, Tyr suddenly opened his eyes. He's awake. Oni-sama. After waking up, Tyr was unusually calm. He punched the Nine Snake Island guard in front of him with 2 punches, then stood up and touched his neck. What's going on? aren't you being handcuffed by Hai Lu-shi? Hancock looked at Tell with shock on his face. As long as a devil fruit user is touched by the Sea Tower Stone, the fruit's ability will be instantly suppressed and the user will lose the ability to move. Those are 100% pure seafloor stone handcuffs. What on earth is going on with you? Again. Rescued. Tyr covered his neck and looked at the sky. Instead of sensing the presence of the monkey family, his warship was overturned by the waves, and the soldiers were rescuing people on the beach of Nine Snake Island. Kill him quickly. Even if he can move, he doesn't have much strength. That's right, besides, there are fatal wounds on his neck. Hancock kicked Sissa away, and then quickly kicked Tyr in the head. Knife. Lieutenant General. Chisha flew out and threw the black knife towards Tyr. Ha ha ha. Why are the Revolutionary Army in the windless zone? Tyr smiled crazily and stretched out his arm, pinching the handle of the black knife in the air, who released Garp. The darkness in Tyr's heart expanded again, and all he could think of was the Warring States period. His teacher had the power to do it. Fragrant feet. The limitations of the 100% pure seafloor stone, coupled with the injury on the neck. Lital's strength dropped a lot. But, faced with Hancock's fatal kick, he was still caught by his black knife. Boom. Hancock was shocked again. Seeing Tyr's trembling right arm blocking her full blow, she really didn't understand where the man in front of her got his strength. Advertisement, what a terrible man. As an ability user, he was tested by Hai Lu-shi, but he was able to withstand Snake Lady's kick. What? Hancock looked shocked and looked at the domineering force on Tyr Island. Teal flicked Hancock away with his knife. Although his strength declined, he was not unable to cope with it. But he no longer has any interest in this group of pirates. The main target was rescued again, and the appearance of Garp stimulated Teal. Kneel down, Hancock, for your countrymen. What are you talking about? I am the Emperor. How can I kneel down to a Marine like you? Hancock was furious. He is still a dying Marine. Tyr stepped forward and appeared behind her. The black knife quickly swung several times at the colorful python next to her. Salome. Hancock reacted and found that Salome, who was wrapped around him, was chopped into several pieces by Tell. The body was still squirming on the ground, but the head was crushed into pieces by Tyr's palm. Fencing. Tyr made another casual slash and slashed out a sword energy towards her sister, Boya Marigold. Sister. Marigrud looked at the sword energy that was larger than her body and penetrated her body, and shouted the last words of her life. Taijutsu. Then, Tell quickly rushed towards her other sister and kicked her neck to pieces in front of her. Boom. The two sisters collapsed instantly in front of everyone. For 4 years, I trained until my bones were broken every time. Why do you think you can kill me easily by sealing my ability? Sonda Sonia. In an instant, Hancock lost 3 important people and pets around him. Hancock unleashed Conquerors on Tyr, trying to stop him from charging towards the Kuji Island nationals. Like a dog, Tyr once again cut off her citizens in front of her. Boom. The Empress moved quickly and appeared in front of Tyr, trying to block Tyr's murderous attack with her leg kicks. However, Tyr's knife bounced away again, and blood instantly spattered on her face. Lie down on the ground and beg me, or I will catch everyone on your island one by one in front of you and kill you. Why? Hancock rushed out again, watching him kill these innocent citizens. Why was he tested by Hai Lu-shi and the powerful power here? The incident of annihilation of the Kruta pirate nation. Sita looked at Tyr's cold-blooded killing and read out his previous deeds. Is it going to happen again? Hundreds of thousands of citizens were of the same mind as the Kruta pirate king, and were judged to be black, and killed. Although he didn't seem angry on the outside, Tyr was actually going crazy inside. Everything he did was controlled by the mastermind behind the scenes, and his heart was filled with disappointment as cold as frost. Chapter 85 Transformation. You are too weak. I actually have a bad taste, Pirate Empress. Tail killed the 9 Snake Island guard in front of him with one sword. Blood and limbs covered his feet. Kiss gun. Hancock still feels that his beauty can seduce Teal. Let him have evil thoughts and turn him to stone, but no matter what, there was no way to stop Tyr. She could only wrap the sweet fruit around her fingertips and attack with her abilities. The heart-shaped kiss guns gathered at her fingertips and shot toward Tyr. The kiss gun was chopped into pieces with a swipe of Tyr's sword. Before I run out of strength, you citizens are not enough for me to kill. You be *************** D. Shoot an arrow at him. The guard captain began to organize his soldiers and launched an attack on Tyr like a war. Neither the front row troops nor the Vine Shield troops could withstand the power of Tyr's sword, and they were all destroyed in front of Hancock. The killing continued, and Tyr's body was stained red with blood. Learn from me. If you want to kill me, even if I deprive you of the title of 7 Warlords of the Sea, it's not impossible. Stop. Hancock bit his lip, unable to do anything. Suddenly, she turned her eyes to Chisha aside, thinking about Tyr's desperate actions to protect Chisha. The moment he was about to kidnap Chisha, a woman's head was chopped off by Tell and thrown in front of her. Hancock stretched out his hands and hugged the head, trembling all over. Margaret. After being deprived of that title, Taylor once again held up the familiar head and floated it in front of her. Even if I don't massacre you, Nine Snake Island will still be threatened by a huge war. Stop. Stop killing my people. The sweet fruit cannot cause any harm to Tyr's domineering power or petrify Tyr. Because the Empress' domineering strength is not as strong as Tyr's. When the time comes, you can imagine what it will be like when countless beast-like pirates invade the daughter country. Lieutenant General. Chisha, don't talk, Tyr said to Chisha while maintaining his rationality. I'm afraid. I'm no longer who I am. World? Overall view? This kind of thing has been defiled countless times in just over 2 weeks. Judgment Garp judged a lonely person, Snake Princess. Hancock's jade legs knelt on the wet ground, and the strong defense in his heart collapsed as Tyr ruthlessly killed her people. Her weak heart can no longer stand such a thing. As an emperor, she must consider the lives of these citizens. Isn't this very simple? In the future world where strength is paramount, I also have a place, Teal said while looking at Hancock, who was kneeling on the ground. The entire country was shocked, having never seen such a cruel Marine. Advertisement, don't kill. Please, be a little more coquettish, breathe a little more, until you make me happy. Tyr dropped the head in his hand and rolled it down in front of Chisha. He is completely a devil wearing a Marine uniform, a soldier more evil and cruel than a pirate. Stop. Killing my countrymen, please. Hancock, who had endured the humiliation, had hollow and despairing eyes at this moment, resounding with the fear of being dominated by the celestial dragons. Teacher, since you are treating me like this. Tyr motioned for Chisha to come over, then I will show you something truly inhumane. Your Shichibukai title will not be taken away. From now on, you can just be a pet by my side. Well, otherwise. Tail activated Liu Ying and crushed the sea tower stone shackles on his wrists with one palm. I will slaughter your pirate kingdom. Okay. I will do everything, as long as you don't kill my citizens. The pirate empress knelt on the ground and begged Tyr. Look at you. Tyr regained the strength of the sword god's hand in his right arm, swallowed his body, pinched her chin and looked at her. You obviously don't know what love is, but you blindly give everything to a boy who ignores you, even at the risk of putting your own country in danger. Luffy. Love is not a one-sided effort. Taylor instantly turned into a relationship expert and said to her. Love goes both ways. Just because you surrender, I will spare your country. As a Shichibukai, she can indeed treat anyone arrogantly, even starting a war with the country, but she can't protect Straw Hat Luffy. He is now a sinful bloodline. You have gone too far, Marine. Groliosa looked at the army everywhere that was instantly defeated by Tyr, and said angrily. Is this what Justice Marine did? Straw Hat Luffy has obviously left Kuja Island. Justice will not be merciful to pirates. Tyr placed his palm on Hancock's brain. I will not show mercy to a country that wants to kill me. Your cruelty is simply outrageous and inhumane. You are the executioner of living beings. Evaluate whatever you want, I know what I am. Tyr left the kingdom with the Empress, and the others were so frightened that they could not move at all. Where are you taking? My concubine, Marine Headquarters, you are now my pet, and I will love you well. Let's go, Chisha. When we came to the coast, the entire Nine Snake Island had been destroyed by the hurricane and was no longer an island. There were residual trees everywhere. Tyr's warship fell on the coast, and its huge mast had been blown off. Lieutenant General, huh? Your neck, come to the medic. Why did the Lieutenant General take the Pirate Queen behind him? The soldiers were a little shocked and looked at Tyr's actions. Let's return. In today's Marine regime, blindly giving has made Tyr see what a joke it is. Tyr used his sword energy to levitate the warship and flew all the way back to Malinfondo, which shocked everyone deeply. The miserable posture of the Pirate Empress was revealed to the public. Advertisement: her sweet fruits make soldiers who are not domineering get lost in her beauty. Lieutenant General, who is the Empress behind you? Hancock bit the corner of his lip, enduring this huge humiliation, and tears fell from his eyes. Why are you crying? In contrast, your behavior is more courageous, sacrificing yourself to protect the people. To a certain extent, you are a good king. Hancock was full of powerlessness, frustration, helplessness, despair and fear at this moment. Entering the prison department, Tell took out a seastone handcuff and put it on Hancock. Later, Tyr brought her to the balcony coffee table outside Sengoku's office and asked Chisha to take care of her. Under the bright moon, Hancock looked shocked and confused. When will I be liberated? From the moment he entered Malinfondo, Hancock thought he would be treated inhumanely. You will never be liberated in your lifetime. After saying that, Tyr's face changed drastically. He pulled the gate of opening and walked into the Warring States office. I regret it. The skin on her lips was bitten by her. If only Hancock could know for sure that Teal had such a cruel side, instead of getting a rumor. If she had known earlier, she would never have been able to offend this god of plague. In the office, Tai took off his shirt and took out a clean marine uniform from the closet behind Sengoku and put it on. Warring States squeezed the quill in his hand tightly and turned to look at Tyr with some anger. What on earth are you thinking? Why did you kidnap Shichibukai Pirate Empress? He knew about Tyr's habit of kidnapping people, but this time he kidnapped the world's most beautiful, Pirate Empress Boya Hancock. She protected Straw Hat Luffy while he was training near Amazon Lily Island, and Pluton Rayleigh was seriously injured by me. What did you say? When Warring States heard Tyr say these words so calmly, the shock in his heart appeared on his face. I almost succeeded, but unfortunately, Monkey D. Dragon, Garp appeared and stopped me. Garp escaped. After getting dressed, Tyr stood next to Warring States and asked calmly. It was unusually calm. What's going on with Garp? Isn't there still a process that needs to be done? Why did he run out, teacher? I don't know about this. Really? Sengoku suddenly wanted to change the subject. It's you, don't start a war with the Revolutionary Army. We Marine have just experienced a war and need to rest. I won't start a war. And Shichibukai, Warring States, who interrupted Tyr, was suddenly pinched by Tyr's collar. He angrily scolded. That's because you are too weak. Chapter 86 Transformation, taking the initiative to apply for the construction of G8 base. It's not that I'm too weak, but I want to prevent a guy with terrible combat power from joining the evil forces. But he has joined now. Who is it? Let me go on a mission as soon as I come back. Tyr pulled off the uniform he just put on. Warring States looked at the injuries above, and a sense of self-blame appeared on his face. Look, the slash from the neck to the abdomen was made by Shanks when I first joined the Marine Corps, was recruited into the fleet by Admiral Akainu, and was slashed by Shanks. Then, Teal pointed to his heart. And this? Just a few centimeters missing. My heart was penetrated by a bullet. Who wants to train me into an iron-blooded Marine? The shocking fatal scars, as well as the torn muscles on top that had not healed from the war. I'm telling you, if I didn't, I could live better than anyone else, ahem. Today's Tyr, both in terms of his hormonal figure and his strength. Walk down the street in any town and you will be approached by women. He can live as happily as a god without having to worry about these messy things. However, everyone has his own ambitions. Tyr wants to cleanse this damn, twisted world. His eyes towards the Warring States period were full of vicissitudes of life, and his gaze was profound, as if leading to the abyss deep in his heart. I never thought that after possessing strength, the gap between reality and ideal would be so big. His heart was completely broken, and he was filled with disappointment and despair for the tall man in front of him. The huge movement caused other soldiers to come over, and they looked at Tyr picking up Sengoku's collar with an extremely angry look on his face. How could Garp escape? In front of your eyes, driving out a warship and piloting Marinevando. Lieutenant General, please put down your hands. The soldiers lined up and aimed their guns at Tell. The following crimes committed in Marine are very serious. I'm just a little bit close. I'm so close. I can torture him and kill him, and you. Teal. How did you become like this? Why did it become like this? After hearing this, Tyr suddenly understood and threw away the collar of Warring States. Haha, I understand, cough cough. He was furious, and bright red blood flowed from the puncture wound on Tyr's neck. Tyr was so uncomfortable that he squatted down and his brain felt dizzy. After a few seconds, Taylor forced himself to calm down, and suddenly everything became clear. Warring States noticed the sudden change in Tyr's expression and became solemn and said, You should go to prison to recuperate for a few days. You are so uncool. Haha, I understand. Fleet Admiral. Taylor smiled helplessly. I will never be so extreme again. It was my fault. I should calm down. The soldiers also obeyed the orders of the Warring States period and took Tell into a cell to temporarily detain him so that Tell could adjust. Then, what should I do? Hancock was at a loss and sat across from the coffee table where Chisha was. The two of them were shocked when they heard what happened just now. Pirate Empress, you must return to Nine Snakes Island immediately. Advertisement. Oh, even without the blessing of sweet fruits, her beauty is still stunning. No, I won't go back. She thought of Tyr's words and didn't dare to make a decision on her own. I volunteered. How dare she go back alone when the entire country is threatened? Yeah, but Shichibukai can't. The soldier advised, suddenly thinking of Tyr's prestige in the army now. He left silently. Your name is Chisha, right? What should we do? First of all, let's change the outfit. It's too eye-catching. He took her out of the Marine building and put Hancock into ordinary clothes, which still couldn't hide his perfect body. This makes Chisha, a woman, look black. Although I don't know why the Lieutenant General brought you back, as long as he doesn't order it, I have to take you with me. Late at night, Chisha took Hancock back to Oris Town in her own residence. However, I can only keep you at home until Lieutenant General Tyr is released. As long as he kills the Marine in front of him, he can escape. Hancock looked at Chisha and thought, in comparison, she cared more about the citizens of Kuji Island. Hundreds of thousands of citizens, how did I end up in such a situation? 5 days later. Dark, damp. There was a faint sound of water dripping from the broken stone walls. Tyr was in the cell, leaning his head on the iron bars and giggling. A tall and burly body walked outside the cell where he was imprisoned. Sengoku held the senbei slices and looked at Tyr in the prison. Eat? The marine snack filled with senbei was stretched out in front of Tai Tai, who grabbed it for him. What to do? I'm quite peaceful here. After the war on top, countless wars broke out among New World pirates to compete for Whitebeard's territory. I want to send you there. Huh, Tail ate all the senbei in one bite and sighed. No, I'm too injured and haven't recovered yet, Fleet Admiral. Really, I heard from the soldiers that you want to be a branch base commander in Sahai? Warring States asked. There is something in Taylor's words. Just a small island is enough. I can develop civilization and other things by myself, and I don't need any money from the military or the government, Tell said with a smile. In the past few days, he had completely figured everything out. Advertisement: as long as Warring States reigns for one day, his current combat effectiveness will be hindered no matter how radical he is. Well, it's time for you to exercise. Haha. After hearing this, Tail laughed out loud and stood up to look at Warring States. Can you let me out? Forget it about Sahai, you go to New World and serve as the base commander. Sengoku's purpose was directly expressed in his mouth, that is, he wanted Tail to go to the New World to perform the task of deterring pirates. Okay. Tyr agreed decisively. However, I want a desert island, and I don't need a build base. How long will it take? You have to guard against pirates. It won't take long. It will be established near the franchise countries. There are plenty of resources. World distribution map. Tell also roughly understood that developing isolated islands was also his wishful thinking. The main purpose is for the Warring States period to retire within 1522 and wait for Sakaski to take office. We have G2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I heard that Marinefondo is moving to New World, right? That's right, the world government plans to move its headquarters to the New World. Marinefondo will be used as a G1 military base to maintain security along the Grand Line. Tyr did not talk about what happened 5 days ago, but when Warring States visited him, he sought a position as base commander for himself. I don't want to be in name only. He wanted to climb up step by step, but the lieutenant general's power was too limited. Then build me a G8? I will develop the island myself. Okay. Rather than worrying about other people's rebellion, Sengoku was more worried about Tail's thoughts of betraying Marine at the moment, which would be a terrible disaster. No matter what conditions are met for him, as a lieutenant general, it is reasonable to have a branch of his own. After the negotiation was completed, Tyr was released by the Warring States period himself. Since we are not allowed to enforce justice, we have no choice but to live a miserable life. Tyr and Sengoku looked at each other for a few seconds, and then walked directly to the ground. By the way, he suddenly stopped. As for my salary, how much do you drive per month, Fleet Admiral? 2 million Baileys. Not bad, accepted. Tail responded to Warring States with a smile and asked again, Fleet Admiral, you are 77 years old, don't you consider retirement? Aokiji and Akainu have some conflicts. It's time for me to retire after resolving them. You should enjoy life when you are old, Fleet Admiral, and don't always judge too many things and hurt your body. Tail said the last words and left. Thinking that Tyr was caring about his Warring States period, he showed a relieved smile. By the way, Shalulia Palace wants to see you. Warring States was also a little confused as to why Shalulia, a celestial dragon, wanted to see Tyr. Perhaps just as he had guessed, Tyr had won the favor of the celestial dragons. Didn't we just meet 3 weeks ago? After all, we are Tianlong people, let's go there. Chapter 87 Metamorphosis, World Noble Power Struggle. Tyr could roughly guess what happened when the celestial dragons summoned him. It was nothing more than the girl from Shalulia Palace who had just been eaten by him, and she was full of lust and wanted to have fun. After leaving the prison, Tyr took a flying sword and headed to the Holy Land, Marijoya, the huge castle residence of Shalulia Palace. Tell walked from Marijoya to the bustling castle gate. Who? The guard stopped Tell, but was dissuaded by another guard who knew Tell. Wait a minute, this is Marine summoned by Lord Shalulia Palace, put down your weapon. Just like 3 weeks ago, follow the guards into the castle, walk through the gardens inside the castle, and arrive outside the huge luxurious castle. Seeing Shalulia standing outside the castle, her appearance, and clothing all change. Her hair no longer had a high peak to show off her status as before. Taylor climbed the steps, walked up to her and said, Tell me, what do you want to do? For her, the sudden and rude approach made her swallow her saliva at Tyr's domineering figure. In her vision, Tyr was so majestic and domineering. Looking at the scar on Tyr's neck, she stretched out her hand to touch and comfort her and asked. You are hurt. Don't touch me, I have something to say. Taylor stepped away from her. I care about you. Shalulia was a little flustered, her heart beating like a deer. Unnecessary. Because Tyr was the one who took away her first time, she was inexplicably unable to resist the man in front of her. Ahem. Shalulia Chingsang forced herself to put on the arrogant temperament of a celestial dragon to face Tyr. Follow me. Entering the castle, Tyr and Shalulia sat opposite each other on the sofa. She personally poured the most expensive tea in the world for Tyr. It's not like that this time. Untouchable, what did you call me? Dear. No, untouchable. Shalulia felt a little unhappy when she found herself being suppressed by Tyr and taking over the initiative. But it seemed like he couldn't resist Tyr in his heart. Tell me what you have to say. I really don't know why a celestial dragon like you comes to me every now and then. Tail drank the tea. Shalulia Palace's face suddenly turned red, and she said to Tyr. All the major families have heard about the war. I would like to take this opportunity to ask you to do something for me. Is there any benefit? Taylor asked casually. Advertisement? Now, if there is no benefit to what outsiders need, he doesn't want to help. Haha. Shalulia smiled contemptuously. I help a heavenly dragon to do things, but I still love your heavenly dragon. As she spoke, her mouth was suddenly pinched by Tyr, which made Shalulia a little flustered. You. Wait until I finish. There are no outsiders here. Who loves whom, woman? Her rosy cheeks looked at Tyr, who was close to her, and her breathing became rapid. Love. Yes. You love. I can't, not yet. Heart beating so fast. Shalulia pushed Tyr away, almost falling before the matter was explained. As for the family throne, I would like to ask you to help me get rid of my brother and father, and make me the ruler of the family. Hearing this, Taylor frowned. She looks so stupid that she actually wants to kill her father and take power? What happened? Women have always had little power in the Tianlong family. Apart from being bright and respected outside, they are very humble within the family. So, you want me to get rid of them and you to take control of this family? It's so bold. This kind of thing is undoubtedly asking a soldier to assassinate the emperor who looks down on the world. Seeing Tyr starting to think, Shalulia said again. If it succeeds, you will benefit from it in the future. The internal strife between the celestial dragon families is worse than you think. Won't the adjudication team find out? Teal asked. You mean Fiedland's Knights of God? As long as they don't have evidence, they can't publicly execute us. Haha, Tyr smiled evilly, pinched Shalulia's little mouth and played with it. Why not do this kind of opportunity that can make a celestial dragon family fall under his command? Assassination. For Tyr today, this kind of thing is simply easier than killing Kun. Untouchable, you. Stop playing with me, I won't be able to bear it anymore. Kill your father, kill your brother, can you really do it? Tyson put down Shalulia, stood up and walked to the window, looking deeply at everything outside and thinking. Shalulia, who had been aroused by Tyr, was left slumped on the sofa, waiting for Tyr's answer. It's okay, only if they die can I take control of the family. With blurred vision, she reached out her hand to grab Tal, who was standing in front of the window. Tell me where they frequent. The Sabaody Islands are the jurisdiction of our family. My brother and father often buy slaves there. Tyr looked at the two armored guards in the garden and grinned. Advertisement, where are they now? Tel continued. Holy Land, in your own castle. Shalulia's whole body was feeling unbearably hot. You. Come here, untouchable. A perfect assassination plan has emerged in Tyr's mind. He walked towards Shalulia and looked at her, who was extremely hungry and thirsty. Eat me, eat. Me, no, you have to be patient. Maybe you will get the news that your father has been assassinated tomorrow morning. Really, Shalulia was a little shocked and stared at Tyr with a hot face. When you take power, don't forget how good I have been to you. How could it be, my dear, I am your kitten. Tyr took a deep breath, looked at Shalulia's expression, and said with a smile, I will do that kind of thing to you again in the future, but now you have to endure it as the successor. If outsiders see it, a celestial dragon is lying on the sofa like this, begging Tyr to eat her. What would that look like? Stand up. The legs are weak. Get up. You want to become the heir to the entire family. Tyr suddenly reprimanded her loudly. This made her expression froze, and she realized that she was a little unseemly. He quickly adjusted his body and mind, stood up and stood in front of Tyr with some embarrassment. Untouchable. How dare you let me assume that despicable posture just now, but forget it, for the sake of helping me, I will forgive you. Face. Tyr shook his head and left the castle. Shalulia wore a sexy dress and watched him leave. Holding her chest, she couldn't stop breathing. As a world noble, what's wrong with me? That man, I really want to get everything from that man. No, we can't be in a hurry. Outside the castle gate. This is the honey water rewarded by Sir Shalulia Palace for your hard work in taking care of the gate. Tyr gave them the herbal potion he made. Is it true? Lord Shalulia Palace actually cares about us, that's great. Both of them couldn't believe what they said, so they directly took the potion from Tyr's hand and drank it. Why am I a little dizzy? Within a minute, the two of them fainted, and another minute later they woke up like puppets. Seeing that Tyr's appearance had completely changed, the blue phantom beast demon stood in front of them and issued an assassination order to them. Assassinate Roswald and Charlos in 3 days, as ordered, Lord Sword God. Chapter 88 Transformation, Creating an Island that Obeys Power. End of Volume 1. 3 days later. On the huge warship filled with the construction of the new G base, Tel sat on the mast as the supreme commander. Listening to the shocked sounds of the soldiers below, I leisurely read the newspaper in my hand. Saints Charros and Roswald were brutally assassinated to death by guards. The power of the family was passed on to the only child, and Shalulia Palace took power. Close double-angle bracket. Such news shocked the world. Even if the adjudication team and the CP spy agency were dispatched, they could not find out who did it. ****. Where on earth are you taking me? I am the emperor of the country. The extremely aggrieved complaints in the room reached Tyr's ears, and Tyr jumped down. Chisha, you command the warship. No one is allowed to enter my office. As commanded. Celebrating his inner joy, Teal slowly walked into the office with the newspaper. Hancock, who had just shouted loudly, saw Teal instantly. Suddenly he assumed a childlike posture and lowered his head in fear. Isn't it natural for pets to follow their owners? Taylor walked to his soft chair and lay down. Staring at Hancock's figure, Tyr asked him to change his clothes. Wearing a cheongsam, Taylor asked her to put on black peacock lace on her legs, making her graceful figure even more seductive and sexy. I am the emperor. Climb over here, Tyr ordered him. Hancock resisted extremely, bit his lip and lay down on the deck in humiliation before coming to Teal's chair. Get up and sit on my lap. Taylor patted his thigh and motioned for her to come up. Hancock's eyes widened and remained unmoved for a long time. How could I possibly do such a humiliating thing? Hancock struggled. Seeing Tyr slowly holding the handle of the black knife floating behind the chair, he immediately stood up and spread his legs to sit on Tyr's lap. It's very simple, isn't it? It would be a pity to kill someone as good as you. What are you up to? I just want to look at you like this and appreciate you as a vase alone. Why? Hancock asked confusedly after seeing Tyr's behavior at this moment. Why doesn't my ability work on you? Tyr caressed her legs, which were full of energy that could release even wild beasts. She was about the same height as Tyr. This humiliation made her endure it with gritted teeth. Because, now I only have love for all women, but no emotion or heart. You are a scumbag. The more you scold me, the more excited I get. Abnormal. Smelling her body fragrance, Taylor didn't do anything drastic. Since the Warring States period did not allow him to be radical, Ty had no choice but to return to his original aspiration and enjoy all the beautiful things in this world. Strength, women, wealth, power, everything material. Now Tyr can be absolutely satisfied. Feeling the body temperature of the world's most beautiful woman in front of him, Tyr picked up the cigar he had never smoked from his desk and put it in his mouth. Then slowly lighted with a lighter. Hi, who, blew it into Hancock's face. Ahem. You be asterisk 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 D. Go down. I don't like prey like you. Taylor pushed her to the deck. Advertisement. This made Hancock stunned and felt even more humiliated. As the most beautiful woman in the world, she is still rejected and pushed away by others? You know, the object of countless men's dreams and fantasies in the world is Boya Hancock. Taylor actually pushed her away. This world is neither black nor white. Tell exhaled smoke, but a delicate ash. After speaking, Teal tilted his head and looked at Hancock, who looked angry. Do you know what this sentence means? How can I possibly understand? Haha. Put down the cigar and poured himself a glass of whiskey. It means. Staring at the swaying eaves of the cabin, Teal took a sip of whiskey and said, most of this world cannot be defined in terms of black and white. Then do you think your current behavior is right or wrong? You have insulted me like this? Sometimes you have to look at problems from different angles. If you look at them from different angles, you will find different views and perspectives, and you are just a plaything that succumbs to my strength. I am not a plaything, Hancock retorted, suddenly feeling that there was a philosophy of life in Teal's words. Isn't it? No, it's. Looking at Tyr's cold eyes, she instantly thought of the massacred citizens on Nine Snakes Island. Her dignity does not allow her to admit it, even if her body is honest. Meow, Hancock, please me as much as you like. Woo-woo. Meow, Hancock, with overflowing tears, resisted and made a touching voice to Tyr, who has been engaged in high-level military operations, only now understands the true meaning of enjoyment in this world. The current regime of Marine is not suitable for his extreme execution of justice. Then Teal's ideology will exceed everyone's expectations. No matter what kind of enjoyment it is, you will be as happy as a god. Lie on my right leg and scream. How humiliating. Hancock clenched his fists and whispered. In order to achieve the effect of petrification, you don't even have to wear fat clothes. What kind of humiliation is this? I haven't even started yet, Hancock. This sentence left Hancock speechless, and she had no choice but to crawl to Tyr's legs like a kitten. It's too much to bully others. At this moment, Tyr felt that it was long past time to enjoy life like this. But he felt that he could not leave the war and blood, leave the corpses and wreckage. What are you pretending to be? Hancock, don't you know much about being a pirate? My concubine. Seeing that she had nothing to say, Tyr held her chin and looked at him. From now on, the Luffy you see can no longer be him. What did you say? Hancock was shocked and didn't know what it meant. He is dead, and what wakes up is another soul. Do you think I believe such nonsense? I am going to marry Luffy. It's hopeless. This woman is a pure love brain hybrid who doesn't even know what her situation is, Taylor thought. A very small number of Phantom Beast fruits will choose their own owners, and Tyr's fruit and Luffy's fruit fall into this category. The devil fruit soul with the name of God. Once the host is about to die, the soul will be deprived of its inherited thoughts. Before on Nine Snakes Island, Tyr was sure to have killed Luffy. The happy laughter after being rescued and escaped was definitely not Luffy himself. He may be called Joey Boy now, but of course there is another name, Nika. Advertisement, what are you talking about? I don't understand. There is absolutely no way Luffy will change. The man after me must also be him. Ah. Before she could finish her words, Tyr quickly stood up and carried her to the room in the office. What are you going to do? I won't give in. Ah. She was pushed to the bed by Tyr B, and the sea tower stone shackles made her unable to resist at all. Let me break your illusion, silly woman, otherwise it will be a pity for others and I will feel bad about it. You. Damn, Nye, army, the beast in silence vents its desires wantonly. A few days later, the warship arrived from the Grand Line to New World, the coast of an isolated desert island near Dressrosa. Boom, boom, boom. The door was knocked by a soldier. Lieutenant General, we have arrived at our destination. The hatch slowly opened, and it was not Teal who opened the gate, but Hancock, who had messy hair and a rosy face. Wow, the soldier was fascinated by her beauty on the spot and stood staring at her in a daze. No, 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 Lieutenant General, did you hear that? At this moment, the Empress had long since lost her unruly and arrogant attitude, and opened the hatch without saying a word and with weak legs. Teal was shirtless and really planning the next plan to build the G8 branch. Lieutenant General, what are you yelling at? I'm not deaf. Tyr was a little overwhelmed and looked at the documents on the table with his pen. Destination arrived. Carry supplies and get the 1,600 soldiers busy. Hancock, come here. Looking at her appearance, Tyr felt that it was really ruining her outlook on life, after she had killed so many people before. Now, I have completely surrendered. Hand this construction document to the soldier. Lieutenant General, give Shiji. The soldier took the document from Hancock's hand and looked at Hancock in shock. Go to construction, it's none of your business. Yes. The soldier held his head high and gave Tell a military salute. I am completely impressed by Tyr's courage and conquered even the coldest woman in the world. I'm dirty. She didn't dare to look into Tyr's eyes at all. She tried the forbidden fruit for the first time at the age of 29. You're going to suffer from this for about a year and a half. Torture. Is this really torture? Tyr looked at her in surprise. I want you to remember me completely and forget about Luffy in your heart. Luffy. Just a child. You're a man. When you were happy before, what did you call me? Tell me what you called me. Tell said with an evil smile. Master. Man. Taylor stood up and opened the curtains in the cabin. The entire island is covered with lush tropical rainforest, with layers of lush trees, like a vibrant green palace. Countless species of birds fly freely in the forest, making the island vibrant and full of sounds. Before this policy ends, let's establish my ruling civilization here, an island that respects strength. Chapter 89. The Empress surrenders, and all the people come to vote. Dressrosa. In the splendid hall, Doflamingo is lying on the throne with a bottle of red wine in his hand. Little Lord. Hearing Granu's voice, he stood up and looked at Granu. What's the matter, Sugar? Marine is developing a base on a desert island near Dressrosa. Such news really shocked him as the leader of the country. How dare Marine dare to come here to develop a base? Didn't the pirates sink them? No. All the pirates who went there were defeated and sank into the sea before they even got close to the island. Doflamingo was shocked. This was the new world, and ordinary Marines would not be able to get any favors here. Who in Marine? Sword God Tyr. Surprise turned into trembling, and he immediately stood up and panicked. Marine building a base on a deserted island near Dressrosa? This will undoubtedly greatly affect his underground trade. Where is our business? It hasn't been destroyed, right? That guy is not an ordinary person and is not easy to communicate with. The cadres are considering whether to send resources to show their goodwill and send me to listen to your instructions, young master. Of course. Doflamingo wasn't worried at all. They are still recruiting immigrants, saying that as long as they are capable civilians from around the world, they can gain a foothold in the G8 branch. Contact Morgans and ask him to promote it to our Lieutenant General. If Tyr finds out about seizing power and usurping the throne, Doflamingo thinks that with Tyr's style, he will definitely attack him. Therefore, showing kindness is the only option. Doflamingo not only wants to show kindness, but also wants to show kindness in a big way. After the publication of the daily newspaper of Tell's station in New World, it attracted widespread attention around the world. Neighboring countries such as the Megara Kingdom and the Rommel Kingdom all deliver supplies to the island where Tell built the G8 base. After the battle in Dingshang War, no one dared to offend him. Tyr's image in the world is a representative of cruelty, and everyone knows that he is powerful. Sword God Island, the soldiers named the G8 base after their own titles. Tyr's living cabin in the bedroom. Tell you a secret that no one knows. Taylor stroked the perfect and soft contours of Hancock's waist and buttocks. Advertisement. The straw hat Luffy you like. What's wrong with Luffy? Hancock's tone no longer missed Luffy so much, but his attitude towards Tail had undergone a huge change. It seems like all his experiences were accidental, but in fact, Tyr lifted up the quilt and stood up, poured himself a glass of red wine, stood at the window and looked at the base under construction outside. A lot of big guys are working for him behind the scenes. Do you know why? These days, Teal learns shocking secrets while playing Hancock. You mean? Hancock stood up, a little clingy and put his face on Ty's back. Luffy. He still missed Luffy a little in his heart. However, both body and mind were completely conquered by Tyr. Is there someone behind all his arrangements? Otherwise, how do you think his strength has reached this point? Tyr looked at the Empress's slender hands on his body. Then why? It should be regarded as one of Shank's plans. Ever since he ate the fruit, everything seemed to have its own plan. What fruit, Master? The Renren fruit phantom beast species Nika form, which is the sun god in ancient mythology. After saying that, Tyr pushed the Empress down on the bed, then put on his shirt and walked out of the ship. Ah, a soft murmur came from the quilt, and Shisha stuck her head out and could no longer look directly at Tell. Being immersed in this kind of life has no impact on Taylor's current body at all. Get up, Shisha. A large number of ships have arrived from overseas and need to be inspected personally. My legs are weak. You were too cruel last night, Lieutenant General. Have a rest and get up. Sissa is a little taller than Hancock, but her appearance is slightly inferior to Hancock. This kind of life. I have never imagined. Hancock said helplessly. I thought I would become a slave again. Sisha looked at Hancock, who no longer complained as before. Lieutenant General Tyr is not a lunatic. He protected me and treated me to do such bad things. This is obviously a good thing. What a bad thing. The joy of a family relationship with a man. I have endured it until I was 29 years old and finally understood. The hooves of the dragon behind you, right? What's going on? The arrogant pirate empress actually has such an experience. Hancock bit his lips and couldn't bear to say it. Sword God Island has developed over several days, and with the efforts of 1,600 people, the foundation of the town has been laid. The construction speed is extremely fast, and the missing wood resources are also cut down on the island. Why do trade ships from so many countries come to this island? You, people on the dock trading ship immediately shouted after seeing Tyr. You are the Marine Sword God, right? That's right. What are you doing with all these people here? Advertisement. This is a newspaper, haven't you read it? Newspaper? That guy Doflamingo really did some unnecessary things, but he is the king now and can't attack him. Since you are in awe, then accept his cooperation for the time being. After reading the content in the newspaper, Teal realized what was going on with such a huge donation of immigrants and resources. Waiting for the people from the foreign ship to disembark, everyone was very enthusiastic about packing their luggage and waiting for the arrangements, but they were still a little worried. Tyr watched Chisha walking down the steps of the warship, holding her waist and limping with a silly smile. Tyr shouted to her. Chisha, come here. Yes, Lieutenant General. She endured the pain in her back and came to Tyr's side to barely perform a standard military salute. Please give me your instructions. Physique needs to be improved. Tell said close to her ear. Go and send out 100 soldiers in batches to receive these foreign civilians. This made Sisha's ears instantly become hot and red. Okay, let's go. She ran to the island under construction to carry out Tyr's orders. Excuse me. A woman, protecting her baby, raised her hand and asked Tell, if we immigrate here, can our life safety be guaranteed and war avoided? Yes. Taylor replied firmly. The simple 2 words gave them endless confidence. Really? There are pirates and wars between countries outside the island. We can hardly stand it anymore. As long as you have the strength, anyone can gain a foothold here. If someone is more powerful than me, then the power to control this island will be in your hands. Building a G-base overseas is equivalent to breaking away from the management of the Marine branch and building an independent militarized island. This is also one of Tyr's purposes, and he will no longer obey any orders in the future. No mission orders will be received until the G8 base is built. Therefore, during this period, Tyr can develop his own power. What's the meaning? Obviously, the immigrants did not know what Tyr meant. The civilians who landed on the beach were a little confused, looking at the lush forest in front of them. I will build a huge arena in the town, and the policy on the island will also develop in the direction of force. Chisha came with the soldiers, and Tel, who was not very good at introductions, stepped forward and said, "In other words, Lieutenant General Tyr will give everyone a chance to grow. You can be as strong as soldiers, and you can become even stronger here in Sword God Island in the future. What if there is no force? Are we going to be squeezed again? No, if you don't use force, you will get subsidies from Department G. You can live a normal life in the town. Unless all of us Marines sacrifice, you will never be harmed." Chapter 90 Plan to eliminate the Revolutionary Army. This woman is really smart. Building G-base is like building a country. Depending on the influence and ability of the Lieutenant General, how big the base and town can be built. With such a huge civilian ship in the ocean, it is obvious that Tyr has great influence in the world. Almost all the people who come here rely on the power of Tyr to protect them. Then I am willing. Not only can I get the protection of the Sword God, but I can also develop my strength here. Where can such a good thing come from? What? Thank you for giving us this opportunity. Although you are scary in the newspaper, you are still very normal in person. Those who are grandmasters in construction, please help develop the island when the time comes. There are so many people, it must be close to 10,000 people, right? Tyr looked at the countless ships on the sea with deep eyes. The sword floating behind him is so handsome, cool. Some came alone in lonely boats, and there were countless merchant ships, passenger ships, and trading ships. After watching for a while, Sisha led the soldiers to release house foundations from house to house and began to build houses. For these people, everything is like starting life again. Every civilian who came here began to look forward to the future. If you want the island to form a society, you must rely on the efforts of these civilians. Tyr alone cannot do it. Leave it to you, Shisha, to give every civilian a good life. Yes, Lieutenant General. Tel returned to his warship and walked towards the mess hall. Tasks such as resettling immigrants were naturally not his responsibility. Just leave it to your subordinates. The moment he pushed open the cafeteria door, Tyr noticed a very serious aura. Each chef holds a spoon in hand and looks at Tyr with sharp eyes as if he is always ready for battle. Lieutenant General is here, get ready for battle. Ah, don't be careless. When Tyr saw this scene, his face immediately darkened and he said, "Meat. Yes." Tyr's meal also tested the soldiers' cooking speed and it was like a war every time. Chew, swallow, bite. Every move made by Tyr kept the chefs busy. The growing strength also means the more food he eats, not to mention that Tyr experienced a fierce battle with a woman last night. After the meal, Tyr held his bulging belly and used life return to quickly digest the food in his stomach. Hiccup. I'm full. Advertisement, the spoon. Got bent again, damn. Thank you for your hard work. I will never reduce your salary. The wages of chefs and soldiers will both increase. Especially the chefs, they were so exhausted from following Ty. Back in the office, Teal, who had just pushed the gate of opening, found that Hancock was as dumb as a servant, waiting for Teal's arrival. Owner. I'm going to make a plan in the next few days. You will help Chisha manage things on the island. Tyr patted her shoulder and said, "Yes, you are also an emperor after all, so you are not unfamiliar with managing this kind of thing, right?" Without the unruly attitude on Nine Snakes Island, Tyr was a little uncomfortable. But soft women are also good. Today, are you going to continue? No, you want to weaken my body and then murder me by practicing P***** every day, right? No. I'm just curious about this feeling. You took away my first time. I will always pester you. Ha ha ha. Tail laughed at himself. When did I become so lawless? Perhaps, this is the life that the time traveler wants. 4 years of institutionalized military career have made him forget these things. Where did the powerful pirate empress go? Defiled by you. Gone. Come here. Sit on your own. Thanks to Hancock's many factors, she was unable to resist Tyr's order, so she naturally sat on Tyr's lap and stared at his face with a blush on her face. Suddenly I feel that you are quite handsome. Is it my imagination? It's not your imagination, I am indeed handsome. Being hugged by the most beautiful woman in the world, Teal started planning how to kill the monkey family. The existence of this family, especially Luffy's existence, seems to have some kind of power to protect him. At all times, there were people watching him, telling the big guys behind him the news, and then calling for rescue. Otherwise, with Luffy's strength, he might be caught by Marines soon after he goes to sea. Everything seems like a conspiracy. Almost the whole world knew that the Empress was captured by Tyr. Therefore, it is impossible for the woman in front of him to be used as bait to induce Luffy to appear. Taking the initiative to attack the White Earth Island is also unfeasible. Garp and Dragon, these two top combat powers, would be difficult for Tyr to win even now. Garp's pure physical skills may be easy to solve, but the dragon's ability to cause natural disasters and hurricanes is really a bit tricky. Advertisement, I remember they also have a sworn brother named Sabo. His life will definitely lead to the Revolutionary Army. What are you planning? Hancock asked curiously after listening to Tyr's words. Kill the entire monkey family and overthrow the Revolutionary Army. She was shocked, thinking that Teal was thinking about her Hancock, and she never expected that Teal would be making such a plan. You really have to. Kill Luffy. No, I'm considering letting you do it yourself to petrify him when the time comes. What? You are too cruel, you want me to turn Luffy to stone. Hancock was reluctant, very reluctant to do such a thing. That's right, then I will smash his stone statue into pieces. Do you really want to be so cruel? You clearly know that I am treating him. You are now mine. Why do you still have any good impressions of him, a guy who is so indifferent to you? I am yours. When she heard this, her heart moved. But the sea tower stone shackles on her hands were still Tyr's defense against her. Think about it for yourself. You are so good to him. Has he ever reacted to you in any way? With every word he said, Tyr felt like a villain, which fit perfectly with all the plans he had in mind. Thinking from the perspective of strength and the perspective of the country, Hancock simply could not refuse the man in front of him. It was the man who took away her first time, and now her mind is filled with Tyr's wildness and debauchery. I promise you. Perhaps, this is real. Love, she thought as she looked at Tyr. Come here, Taylor shouted. The soldier came in and looked at the scene of Hancock holding Tyr, his face turned red to the point of bubbling. Lieutenant General, are you busy? I'm really busy. Bring me the map of the Revolutionary Army. Yes, Lieutenant General. If you want to eliminate the Revolutionary Army in more than a year, you must start with the 4 army commanders. Destroy strongholds one by one and execute iron-blooded methods. However, all this cannot be planned until Tell builds this base. The soldier looked shy and looked at Hancock in Tyr's arms. Wow, Lieutenant General, you are really awesome. I have been fighting for 4 years, can't you just enjoy it? Get out. To plan to eliminate the monkey family, the Revolutionary Army must disappear. This organization is like a guerrilla group all over the world. However, Marine controls many of their New World strongholds. You don't dare to start a war, I'll help you get rid of them one by one, Fleet Admiral. Then, while waiting for Akainu to take over, Tyr can kill everyone in the New World.